In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pogs and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It looks like we have an empty lobby, but don't worry, some people will be joining later on. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain. I messed it up. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things. And it's called Best Gen because we're all from the same generation, and it's better than yours because your movies suck and ours are good. So we're gonna talk about it. But today is. Oh boy, this week has been a breath of fresh air in the desert sands of Arrakis. Man, Dune and Shogun are an oasis in the desert of bad cinema. And Jared,
hey,
he's here, but he's late. Other Jared is trying to figure out why his microphone's not working. He'll be on later. We'll also be joined by Alex Green once he stops streaming with the Nerdporeal Lifeform, which I was just on and I had to leave early. We're supposed to get the Underground. They're on the thumbnail. They might not make it. They might have had something come up, but they might show up later too. The Angry Mexican is not going to join us tonight, but he did show up. He wants to be here. But he hasn't seen Dune yet, and he's saving himself for the movie.
He's saving himself.
So he apologizes.
Is it out in Mexico yet?
I'm sure it is. Yeah, he's saving up all his money so he can go.
Gotcha.
He can go watch Dune. But there's still garbage to talk about. We got to talk about the second half of Avatar. And then we've got to talk about Dune, and we've got to talk about Shogun. Jared, did you watch Shogun?
I watched one episode because I knew we were going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So. I didn't watch all of it, but I tried to get some of it in.
David hasn't watched it. Other Jared's seen it. What do we want to do first? Do we want to just jump into Dune, or maybe wait until other? Let's pull off the Band-Aid. Let's get Avatar over with.
I was gonna say maybe we should do it.
Let's get Avatar over with. Look, I'm a sinner. I couldn't finish it.
What? You couldn't even finish it?
I kid you not. You read the Mark Clark read the book Shogun. I've heard really good things about the book. It's not what I was like. It's I don't know what I was expecting, but it. We'll talk about Shogun.
I was going to say
we'll talk about Shogun later.
Email the conversation.
Mark's always trying to get us off on tangent.
Mark, I know. Like, stay on topic, Mark. Come on.
Every time he finished another Lightbringer book, it's like. Speaking of Lightbringer.
Okay, is his microphone working?
Yay!
It's
Dang
working.
It. I liked it the other way.
So just restart it.
It's working.
Yeah. We got the Teton Girl Squad. It's working, and we also have a little Anakin. It's working. It's working.
Yep.
Try spinning. That's a neat trick.
Just don't pay attention to Mark Clark's latest statement.
That's consistent
You read
with what we expect.
well, okay, but for once it wouldn't matter if you read the Shogun books in order because they're all different. It's an anthology. They skip around. It's like 100 years between each book.
Yeah.
It's not a concurrent story. It's just different bits of the story.
Yeah, I know nothing about the
There's I believe
Shogun.
Lightbringer. He read Lightbringer in order. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No. So the Shogun books, I think there's 6 of them. It's basic. It's a completely different story every time, but it's the common theme is the interactions between the old world and the Oriental world. Can you say Oriental now? I don't even know.
The West and the East, I guess the West and Japan.
So Shogun was actually book 3, but chronologically it's book 1.
Oh, okay.
So there's another one about China, and there's another one like 100 years after Shogun, and there's one there. It goes up to like the 1900s. It's just about like how
Okay, we're getting distracted.
Yeah, it's about. Oh, we're not supposed to be talking about Shogun.
We're getting
Wait,
Why are we not talking about Shogun?
we said we weren't going to talk about it yet, and he.
When did we say that?
It was Mark Clark again.
Schedule. We all decided we were going to talk about. I watched Shogun.
We're talking about Avatar first.
We said we were going to talk about Avatar, and then Mark Clark mentioned that the Shogun book is really good. And then we said,
It's about Western influences.
And then we started talking about it.
The books are all about Western influences on the Japans, and I love how they say Japan. Okay, but Avatar, I kid you not, I started watching episode 5 4 times. I cannot get through episode 5. It's so bad. It's garbage.
Yeah, it was not what I was hoping.
And you were on board for the first 4 episodes. You were more on board than Bearded was, which is odd. I think I'm slowly corrupting Jared with my negativity.
No, of course not. That would never happen.
That's the thing is realistically, and yet like I do still end up enjoying things for the most part, but I can definitely recognize, especially because we were just watching the original show a lot.
Yeah,
like we were still only about halfway through the first season. Mm-hmm. It really it misses the mark. And again, it's funny because you're corrupting me, and that I'm not liking things as much or whatever. It really is just that it's really not good. But like I said last week, and I'm standing by this. I know it was my hot take of last week, but I put this just a little bit below the movie. I need to watch the movie again, maybe, in order to see how terrible.
I think you should watch it again.
I mean, it's not great, but there's some okay things in here. Like I don't know.
The movie is trying to faithfully adapt the show, but it falls short on just some of the execution decisions are horrible. Like a lot of the film's flaws are that the entire movie is a montage because they're covering the whole season. It's and this and this and this and this and so you don't get like good character growth because you're shooting through it, and then you get things like the princess of the Northern Water Tribe has penis shaped hair. So
I've never even noticed that.
No, go back. It's a penis, okay? Like it. I gotta get a picture.
I always want to call her Yumi, but
Yui.
Is it
Yui?
It's not like this one was much better.
But like the bending, there are bad choices that were made in the movie, but they were made in good like the movie was made in good faith. I don't think that this show was made in good faith.
I actually do. I honestly think that this really does a lot of the same sorts of things. It tries to adapt things really well. It tries to figure out how to balance the fact that they're trying to shift this from the animated thing to a live action, trying to make it a little bit more serious, because going from animated to live action, you need to be a little bit more serious unless you're going really goofy spoof. And I think they adapted and overlapped some things in a way that mostly worked, but then there's a lot of other places where they tried to do it and it didn't work. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like when watching it, I actually feel like it follows the first season relatively okay.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
You joined just in time for the penis hair.
Oh,
That is,
What the hell?
yeah.
I had not seen that. Like I was looking at the pictures of the original animated one, and I'm like, I mean, it's got a little bit of the mushroom top shape in the back there. But okay, yeah. When you're looking at it from that angle, then yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, is that show as trash as it was?
This is from the movie.
Or the movie?
Is
Yeah,
that from the movie? Oh, okay.
yeah. The show is not good.
The thing about the
I
show
will
is
say-
we watched the first 4 episodes last week, and then we watched
I
the last
finished the whole
episodes
thing,
this week.
but-
The first 3 or 4 episodes weren't terrible.
Episode 4 was, but
But yeah, the first 3 episodes were good. The 4th episode was all right, and then ever since then, 5 was terrible, and then 5 and 6 were not very good at all, and the last 2 episodes, 7 and 8, were just the worst things I've ever watched
So
in my life.
you did finish it then, David, right?
I did, yeah.
I couldn't do it. I
Well, here's
tried.
the thing.
It was really tough.
So I felt like they tried to hit a lot of the big points, right? Like they go to the Northern Water Tribe and they kill the moon and UA sacrifices herself. So they hit a bunch of those things that were important to the story. But then there was stuff like literally in 5 where he flies all the way across to the Fire Nation just to go see. Okay, which doesn't make sense that he has to go to the shrine to be able to talk to the guy, to the Avatar.
Yeah.
And then he gets there and he's just like, "Oh, I'm trying to hide from these guys," and like that was so
But
weird.
they completely removed the reason for needing to talk to the Avatar because he already had the conversation with
That was actually I
They're all
completely agree
telling
with
the
you.
same
I was
thing.
okay with them switching it to being Kyoshi that he interacts with and gets some of the information with, but then they still go back and do the other interaction afterwards.
Yeah.
for some reason. And it felt a little bit more
No, we can
forced
hear
in
you.
there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We started talking about Avatar to wait for you guys. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
We're
sorry,
trying
now
to
we
figure.
gotta finish.
We're getting a weird message on Streamlabs,
Oh,
so
okay.
we're good. We'll battle through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk
So-
about Dune eventually, but we're just getting this
Okay.
out of our systems.
So I predominantly watched this with Steve when I could while I was at work, and I guess
Steve, the Prophet of the Dragon.
Steve, Prophet
Yeah.
of the Dragon, yes. And I will confess here that I have always felt that the cartoon Avatar was a little bit mid.
Yeah.
But the fact that they managed to find an actor with even less dog in him than cartoon Aang was a real problem for me.
Is it the actor though, or is it the lines he's given? Because he's given some really crappy stuff to say.
Yeah.
It's both, and this is I don't like when shows age up characters, but oh boy, could we have gotten a fucking 16-year-old for Aang? Like
Yeah. This is the one time I really would not have complained if they got if they aged up the kids just a little bit, especially if they were trying to appeal to the Game of Thrones audience, right? Like age up the kids by all
Game
means.
of Thrones that?
They literally said that we want this show to appeal to Game of Thrones viewers. Yes.
I don't see that in the show at all.
No, it's
Weird
it's-
statement.
Story.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones didn't hold your hand and tell you the same thing 6
Oh my
times
God.
to make sure you got the point.
Yeah,
Honestly,
in episodes, the end of episode 5 and 6, both end with a monologue that the characters are just talking to the audience. They're not talking to anybody else. It was the same way. It was a lengthy monologue, and why? It's first of all, it's stuff we already knew mostly, but it was just talking to the audience. It was so out of place.
Did you notice episode 5 does the same thing that episode 4 does, where they they shoot the twist in the foot?
Yeah.
Like episode 4 opens with, "Hey, King Boomy, that's my friend," instead of using the twist.
Yeah.
And then episode 5 says, "Oh, hey, that's the spirit of the forest."
not only that, but every single
without
time,
ever setting it up. Like, they didn't spend 2 seconds to have him look at the statue and say, "This is the statue of the forest spirit. We're going to try and commune with it." And then,
Yeah, they
not
they
only
really
that,
did bungle that.
but every single time that there's any mystery on any character development, they're like, "Oh, I wonder what this is. I wonder if he has a reason for feeling this." Immediate jump.
here
out.
are my feelings on the matter.
And then it shows, yeah, it's just doesn't leave anything to the imagination. It just hits you over the head.
Writing wise, the movie is better than the TV show.
Wow.
I still overall put this over the movie, but it's
like
yeah,
fight scenes way better in the TV show.
Oh,
the special effects way better in the TV show.
Fantastic, and some of the acting I think is pretty darn good. I
still really like Sokka and Zuko a lot. I thought they did a good job.
Me too.
They bungled
Zuko
they
wasn't
bungled the
as
writing
good.
they bungled the writing for Zuko, but like he did a good job, and again they also bungled the storyline for Uncle Iroh, but I really like that actor. And I thought he did a good job with what they gave him for it. They just really kind of like you said, they undercut a lot of the stuff where they made it seem like it was bigger and then kind of answered the question immediately with his emotional arcs. And
He was way too grumpy in the last half of the season.
Mark Clark is once again trying to get us off track and jump back onto Shogun.
Okay, I haven't seen Shogun yet. I was catching up on Dune this weekend, so that's definitely next. So
Yeah,
I'd like to see it.
Watch
I've
it.
heard good things about it. So
Watch it.
That's good.
Yeah. There's just so many things. I mean, I don't know how much detail you want to go into episode by episode, but
I don't care. I didn't finish it. I couldn't. I tried. I literally tried to force it down my throat. I started episode 5 4 times. I could not finish episode 5.
It's a really hard one.
well,
Which episode was Crescent Island?
Was
the
what?
Fire Nation Temple.
I
That
didn't
was
get.
fine.
I didn't. I
That was
didn't
fine.
make it. I couldn't get
Was
it.
that in 5?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that
that's
was
right,
good.
because he does it in a weird way where like he pulls them into the spirit world and then has to leave them in order to go talk to Roku and then come back. And
Yeah,
go
it
into the
was
spirit world.
Wait,
really weird.
Roku is in that episode?
Roku's in that
Spirit
episode.
one? Well, he's in the one after the spirit one.
What?
Yeah.
If that's 5, then yeah,
Did they
temple's
split it
6.
into 2?
Yeah,
I can't remember
so
exactly.
Wait,
Right,
they're in the spirit world for 2 episodes?
Well,
Yeah,
kind
they
of.
came back to it.
He leaves Sokka and Katara in the spirit world to go commune
Well,
with
so-
the Fire Temple, and then comes back.
And then having Yue pop
Okay.
into the spirit world as a fox, that was weird.
Yeah,
Wait. So here's the thing.
Wait, that was
This is
Yue?
how he solves
Yeah.
the problem with the
The
spirit
fox
world.
was Yue.
What?
He literally goes to the Fire Temple and to talk to
Roku.
the Avatar, right, Roku, and he talks to Roku, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I stole this idol," and it just so happens that all of Roku's stuff is like at
It's
this
right
temple,
there.
and you're like, "Oh, how fortunate!" Like,
Yeah.
there's the idol. Like,
Wait, sorry, we are glossing. Why is Yue a fox?
because
In the
she's part
spirit
of the
world,
moon
she can
spirit.
project herself into the spirit world because she has some. of the
Why
moon spirit
is she
in her.
projecting herself into the middle of the Earth Kingdom?
No, in the
To
spirit
characters
world,
that she
yeah.
doesn't know exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
Reason.
I'm glad that this was the reaction because I only caught like 5-ish minutes of all the other episodes.
And you're just as confused as we are, and we've seen the show?
but but I caught about 30 minutes of this 5th episode, and oh my god, was this episode ass? Like,
Yeah.
for like 14 different reasons, and like I was even texting with Prophet, and I was like, so did this make any sense at all? He was like, nope, didn't, just complete trash. So I'm glad.
I will say though, so the spirit world one, the face creature was creepy. Like the way that they
It
did
was
that. I
They
was like,
do the
oh,
face
oh,
stealer in the same
They do the
episode?
face stealer.
What
They
is
cover
what is
that
going
one.
on?
It's completely like they undercut it. They what it is, they pull I think a lot from the other, like from ancillary stuff from not from Korra, but from maybe some from Korra, but like from the comics or stuff like that to like explain different parts of it, but it completely changes the whole thing. Where again, he doesn't have to like maintain his composure with Ko. He doesn't have to do any of that. It's just a matter of like he has to empathize with Ko so that Ko will release Katara and Sokka. And
he goes gets the idol and then gives the idol back, and that's it. Like it's like, okay, here's your idol.
And Ko releases everyone, not just those two. He releases everyone. Like it like Ko is a completely different thing in this than he is in the.
But it was super creepy. I was like, that is a creepy monster.
it was.
Again, the visuals of the show are not really good, and a lot of the fight scenes are pretty good too.
Except then you randomly get a scene in episode 5 where they're riding on Appa, and you're like, this is worse than green screen. Like, this is horrible.
So,
and it's filmed on the volume.
Yeah, there's sometimes where the
green screen plus should be.
They switch into CGI body doubles, and it's just super.
I did catch that 1 or 2 times. Yeah, mostly where they were like flying an action scene around, and they had to grab onto them or whatever. But
it's very apparent.
The first 4 episodes were okay, almost, and then it didn't ever figure itself out better, and bungled a handful of other things too. So at last week when we'd only watched the first 4 episodes, I was like, okay, it's missing some things, but it's okay. Right. It's all right. And then it just never. That's the thing. For me, it didn't get a lot worse, but it definitely didn't get any better.
I think it definitely got worse.
Okay, so let's pose the only interesting question that there is to ask about a show like this. If you had to assign a percentage of what percentage of it was bad because it was woke, and what percentage of it was bad because they tried to jam an entire season of episodes into too short of a time?
No, Alex, the live action TV show has more time.
Okay,
it has 80 extra minutes.
Right, but I don't think that's a good argument, because with live action you can't move along as a fast a clip as you can in it.
I don't think any of the problems are because they had to shove it into. I think,
honestly, I don't think,
and not even all of them are because it's being woke. There are some problems. There are some woke problems.
The last 2 episodes,
but
the last 2 episodes.
Most of the problems, like I would say the entirety, 90% of the problem with this TV show is the writing, specifically the dialogue.
The dialogue, plus they fundamentally misunderstand several of the characters and their motivations.
And it's not because they're woke, but it's because of wokeism that these writers were ever hired in the first place. And so it's ancillary.
So what is the most egregious?
I want to bring up one real quick thing about that whole what David was saying about the wokeness ruining the last 2 episodes. But that's the thing. If you watch the original, it has all of that in there. It's all about this guy who's doesn't want to listen to him, this, that, and the other, and like she tells him what for.
The original Avatar,
but they didn't do it well in this one.
Right, they had
the original Avatar,
the original show,
shit-lib politics in it. Like, I mean, yes, but I guess so. What is
Alex? It's the same problem. The problem is these writers have never stepped foot outside of their studio apartments in California, and they don't know how the real world works. It's the same reason why in season 2 of The Wheel of Time, they wrote into the show Nynaeve, whose only character trait is that she's good at healing and she's a village wisdom, pushes an arrow through Elaine's leg with the fletching still attached. That is the same problem that's happening with the Avatar TV show. It's being written by morons.
I gotcha. So, so what was the most offensive character desecration?
King Boomy.
Yeah.
Probably accurate.
What did King Boomy do?
He's the opposite of what he should be. His character is supposed to be a wizened old man who was friends with the Avatar as a kid, and it's been 100 years, and he's a 100-year-old man now, and he's trying to give the Avatar the best advice he can give him so that he can take on this world-ending responsibility. Mm-hmm. And in the show, he hates the world, and he's mad at Aang.
Yeah, he's vindictive, and
he's like, I've had to live 100 years of crap, and
I'm
you
grizzled
just
now. I've had to
disappeared,
make hard choices because of war, and so I'm not gonna help you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks. That super sucks.
Yeah.
But it lost its whimsy, basically.
Yeah. Well, there's still the
Which
whimsy
again,
there.
you're
I
going live
thought-
action, and it's okay. But
I thought his character acted the part really well, in my opinion,
I
but it
didn't.
wasn't the same. It wasn't the same character.
And the reason
Yeah,
why
it just-
is because they said the fun
Yeah.
didn't work in live action.
well, but that's the thing.
Which
They're
I
trying
kind
to
of
still
understand.
give us-
You can take away the fun, but don't change the core character traits.
Well, the other problem is though is that they still tried to give us all the goofiness. I felt like in this one
They
still
tried to
give
they
him the,
tried
like-
to keep the fun.
They tried to keep him goofy and quirky, but made it that he was angry instead of because he was trying to see like how he could, how long Aang would take to figure it out and what he could teach Aang. He's just sitting there going like, I need to teach you that life is worthless or whatever it was. It's just like, but he was trying to be silly. He was still making jokes. So, but they were not great. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
like, "Oh, I just
Also,
wanted
he
some
just
rock candy."
he
He
looks
had that whole thing
ridiculous.
about like, "I just wanted to get some rock candy." Like that was a joke. It was them trying to still be goofy and fun. So I don't know what they're talking about because it doesn't seem like they removed the fun or the goofiness from it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is that they ruined the reveal, right? Like the way that it was revealed in the first one was, oh, okay, he has to go through all these trials, and you're like, who is this guy? And then at the end, he's like, oh, you're my friend. Like, okay, all of this makes sense why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, they're just like, hey,
They
I'm your
open
friend.
with, "Hey, you're my friend." Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, I
They
hate
figured
you.
out
Why
right
do
away,
you leave
yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like
So
Avatar.
that's what we're
sucked
talking
balls.
about. The writing, it's completely backwards. It's like, hey, I mean, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. In the
writing's
sixth
all
episode
backwards.
too, like they have the bounty hunter that comes and find him, and it's like, okay, he flies forever, like days just to get to this altar. To Roku's altar, and then somehow it
They show up
shows
in the same
this
episode?
tracker, and
They're all right
he's already
there.
found him. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fetch? Like, where did
Also,
how did you find him
so
already?
there's two things I need to bring up on that. First of all, one thing I meant to bring up last week was how he left the Southern the Southern Air Temple in the original like back 100 years, and was immediately like way out in the ocean. Like they did not connect that idea of where he got to the storm very well. From like, I just need to go clear my head, and then suddenly he's in the ocean down at the Southern Water Tribe, which was very weird. And I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? But the thing that I also need to like call myself on was, okay, I was wrong. The badger moles in the animated thing didn't have the little funky hand, face thing. That was the lady's creature, and they did do that for the bounty hunter's creature. June's
That
creature,
bounty hunter was so weird though. Like all of her interactions were terrible and wooden.
Right.
And
they tried to give her more motivation than I think she had in the show. She was just a bounty hunter, like
yeah.
But
yeah,
like,
and-
I'm too cool for the world, or whatever it was.
Yeah. And then you're right. She's tracking the Avatar's position, and then the Avatar flies off to a completely different location, and she finds him there. It's like,
and it's literally like
she's
the
tracking
next
to his old location, and then all of a sudden she shows up to where he flies to.
Yeah, it was
Do
weird.
you guys feel that this was that we needed this live action animated
No.
live action anime, like, or was this
Update
unnecessary?
version. Completely unnecessary.
People keep saying, I agree
wanted
it's
a good
unnecessary,
adaptation.
but also I don't think there's anything wrong with trying.
Yeah.
I just-
because
I'm
you
like,
look at One Piece. One Piece did it, and One Piece was able to
Okay.
succeed at it. So like you
Right.
can.
I
But
know.
yeah.
It's just I don't know. I feel like it's just like the new comic books they're going for anime, and I'm just like,
On a-
I find a lot of stuff in anime. It works as it's within the animated genre, so you get a lot of kooky things.
Yeah.
Like I was just looking at the way this character looks, and that would work in an anime because that's kind of a stock character that animes use. And there's like the craziness, and I'm just thinking, man, I haven't seen the show. It looks awful.
This
and-
show is a lot more grounded than other animes, though. It's not
Yeah.
like crazy, like it's not like One Piece where the guy's Stretch Armstrong, right?
Yeah.
And if
Which-
you talk
which
to
again,
an anime nut, they'll argue that Avatar is
anime.
not really an anime
because it was
That's-
made because
that's
it was
also fair,
animated
too.
in the United States. I don't
No,
care.
but whatever.
Yeah.
So the two things I'll say to that is we talked last week about how like King Boomy having the like old man like gray armpit hair thing going on here in animated works fine. That's a trope. It's in live action.
Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah.
that. It just
I mean,
looks
yeah,
gross.
you either it's like you have to go all in like in One Piece or
Yeah.
just like make it realistic.
That was the other point, was that like with One Piece they were able to do that right balance of like it's still goofy like the show, like the animated show is. I think I've only seen little
Yeah.
clips of the show, so I haven't seen much of it, but like it's still goofy. It is not grounded at all, but it's live action and still works.
And to
Yeah.
kind of piggyback off what Alex said, Alex thinks that the original TV show is mid, and for season 1, I 100% agree. So I think that you can actually improve on the show in an adaptation if you do it well. You could take out all of the unnecessary side quests in season 1 and make it more story driven and get more people into the story. Like I don't think just saying, "Oh, it's unnecessary, why even try," is a good argument. Cuz you could have made an even better TV show.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, just like the Wheel of Time, pretty much everyone agrees, even Robert Jordan himself, that the ending of the first book is not 100% in line with the rest of the series, the way that the One Power works and fighting in the sky. He tones that down later on, and it straight up admits, yeah, I hadn't fully fleshed out all of the world building yet, so I do some things in book 1. He has a talking Trolloc, and that they don't exist
We love
later on.
Narg. Okay, we just
yeah,
get
we
Narg.
love him.
Narg was awesome.
Narg is great, okay? But, like, you can make things better in adaptation. You can take out the mistakes, right? That
Yeah.
you learned after 3 seasons of
But the problem
how
is
to make a good
people-
television show.
These people think they can write better than the original authors,
And they
That's the problem.
and they change the stuff that shouldn't be changed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't even hate some of the changes that they made. Some of the changes that they were saying that we were hearing beforehand that were like, oh, that doesn't sound like a good thing. I don't think they needed to make those changes, but honestly, the whole Sokka not being the sexist that he is and growing, and you miss out on some of that. But he also, Sokka's character was one of the best, and you still got a good like him trying to figure things out and be like, you still got Sokka really, really well, even though you removed that part of his character arc. Cool. It was the other things that they changed that completely ruined it. That was just like, why did you change that? There's no reason to change that.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
I
A couple more things. General Zhao and Azula are absolutely awful.
terrible.
I cannot
I
stand
don't
them.
mind Azula. I mean,
They-
she's
Oh no, they get
Whatever.
worse. Like the scene where she's instructing Fire Lord Ozai and like telling him what to do, and he doesn't like criticize her when he did the same thing. With,
I've heard she
The whole- all those
discovers
dynamics are
lightning bending too.
she just discovers it like she knew it the whole time.
I was gonna say she shows off like she knew it the whole time. She doesn't. It's not necessarily that she's saying she discovered it, or even that they're saying that nobody else could do it necessarily. Just a matter of like he's trying to say you're not ready, and she's like, "Quit playing with me. I'm ready," and shows that she can lightning bend.
Yeah, so
But it's
all of the original creators were involved with the Netflix show, and one
then
by
they-
one they all left.
Did
Also-
one of them stick around?
No, they're
Not one
all
of them.
gone.
Also, it
Yeah.
needs to be said, the original creators are not the same caliber of creator they were when this came out.
They have yeah.
they would
I mean,
at
they
least
went on to
call
make
it
Korra
the-
and the Dragon Prince, right? Like
Dragon
Yeah,
Prince,
I
I
mean,
wasn't
but-
minding too much. I watched some of that, the first 3 or 4.
Dragon
It's
Prince was
not
good.
great.
I never watched more than the first season, I think, but
yeah,
Yeah, I
they've let the woke mind virus infect them, just like
that's about it.
some authors who shall
Yeah,
not be
but-
named.
The fastball is gone. So let's leave it
Yeah.
at that.
So the funniest thing to me in the very end, the last episode, they invite Katara to stay with them, right? And he said, "No, we have to leave because Aang has to learn waterbending still."
That's the arc of.
That's the whole
1.
arc of the first season.
Yeah.
Why would you leave the water tribe to learn water bending?
And this is the spot where they really did ruin it, and I think it's, to me, it's not necessarily the wokeness of it per se.
The water tribe invites her to stay?
Yeah.
Water tribe. Yep. They wanted to give Katara
combat.
They wanted to give Katara the I am the master that can teach him. Is the idea that they're trying to get across, which just doesn't work, unfortunately, because she's like, even though she can be a prodigy, all of that, she still needs to learn a lot, and like it makes it, she should be able to still learn from the masters. And
that's my issue with the, like you said,
it wasn't a woke thing. It wasn't like she's a girl so she can teach him. It was she's one of our main characters and is awesome, and therefore we want to teach him. But
I'm glad I stopped watching.
It was still a flub. I'm
glad I stopped watching. My wife watched it with me. Only got through the first episode, and the only comment she had about the entire series was, "Why do they think I'm stupid?"
Yep. There's a lot of that, and it just gets worse.
I genuinely always want to ask people who make these shows. Okay, Avatar came out in what, 2007? Ish, something like that. Whatever. The exact year is irrelevant for the point I'm making. The people in 2007 who watched Avatar were 12. So the people who watched Avatar are now 30.
Yeah.
Why would you not make Avatar for 30-year-olds? Like, I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
Harry Potter figured this out. And
I kind of mentioned this last week too, is that I kind of felt like they're trying to play towards like, hey, this cartoonish thing. But they're also trying to be more serious. And I agree, Alex. Like, it just feels weird because they're like sometimes serious, but sometimes they're, I'm trying to be goofy.
I genuinely think they tried to.
That this wasn't a matter that they were trying to make this for kids and they like
suck at
came
it.
up with like a weird hybrid thing. You think they were trying to make a show for adults?
Well,
like they straight up said they were.
They said they wanted to make Game of Thrones.
They wanted to make it more edgy.
That's so much worse. They were trying their best. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And again, I think that they did get it a little bit more grounded, a little more adult in some ways. But then again, like you said, they tried to also spoon feed you other pieces of it that didn't need to be spoon fed. They just wrote it so poorly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how did I not know this? That the voice actor for Zuko is Bangarang? From Hook?
Yep. It's Rufio. The original voice actor for Zuko is Rufio.
How did I not know that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay.
Pretty freaking awesome, isn't it?
Is Rufio? Yeah, Rufio. Bangarangs is like his catchphrase, right? Or no, that's the other kid. That's the other kid.
Well, I mean, they all say Bangarang. I think it's
Bangarang.
Like yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've got to say about it.
It's embarrassing. It's literally the pushing the fletching through the leg. They're idiots. They're trying to be edgy. They're trying to make a Game of Thrones, and they're just bad at it.
Yep.
Anyway, so you guys haven't watched Shogun yet, Alex?
No, we haven't.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk.
Me up on Dune. So
Dune.
I will also say I've got to leave in another like 45 minutes or so.
Okay.
I have seen Shogun, but also if you guys need to talk about it another time or later, it'll be coming out a couple episodes at a time every week. We'll
it's good though, right?
It is, yeah, very
so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I want to see something good.
No, like I was blown away. I think it's some of the best television I've seen in years. Like I think maybe better than House of the Dragon.
I think I'm in a little
That's not hard.
I loved House of the Dragon. Okay.
So you really like Down Girl?
I think it's better. I think it's better than House of the Dragon for sure.
I am a little bit unsure where I'm like, okay.
It's like it's on par with Breaking Bad so far.
Yeah. It really is. It's a very intriguing show, and it's really well done. Like it's beautiful stuff that they've got going on. There's a
wee bit of nudity in episode 1 for all my Christian viewers. Heads up, but it's not It's not like Game of Thrones boobies. Okay.
Plus,
Are they
that
nice
scene just
titties
didn't
at
even need
least?
to be in there.
Huh?
Are they nice titties at least?
I mean,
No,
I've only ever
I've
I've only ever been attracted to my wife.
I was gonna say, he won't answer
That's the
that.
smart answer.
No comment.
But yeah, so Dune 2.
Dude.
Can we talk about Dune 1? Like,
Yeah, you gotta talk about both of them, right?
We can talk about both of them. I recently saw the first one when it was
Me
in
too.
theaters a couple weeks back. Yeah,
Yeah, all right,
What'd
you crushed.
What'd you guys
Before I
think?
went to see it.
yeah.
Dune 1 was fan-freaking-tastic.
I'm gonna let you go first, babe. I'll
Yeah,
I
we
really
got-
was hoping
we got a
to
hot take.
actually read the book before I saw the movie because I wanted to have the ideas of the book in there. And I've heard
Uh-huh.
that it's kind of a difficult thing to adapt. And
Yeah.
I had heard a lot of good things about the movie, and I saw both movies this weekend, and I'm just, what the heck? And all I have to say is I am not going to judge a book by its adaptation
By its movie.
because I'm like, what am I watching? None of this makes sense, and everything was so long. And
Uh-huh.
I have seen this now, and I've seen a lot of Denis Villeneuve films, and I'm just like, this guy is severely overrated.
Oh wow.
Yes,
That is a take for sure.
that is a take for sure. I know, and people want to agree with like,
You didn't
oh, Blade
like-
Runner 2049 is amazing, and it's like he does a really kind of good job of creating this great mise en scene. Like
Uh-huh.
you've got like these beautiful set pieces, and there's
Gorgeous.
a lot of color and light, and it's like,
Even though it's brown.
yeah, it's just like it's okay. It's pretty. It's not like it's not a music video, so you need a little bit more to the stuff. And like I forgot that he had done Arrival. I was just looking.
I was gonna ask.
before we
You
talked about
didn't
this.
like Arrival either?
I loved Arrival, and I
Okay.
thought he did a great job in that movie, particularly of using the language of cinema to convey an emotion that was something completely different than what was in the story. Because if you haven't seen that movie, it's about a bunch of people making first contact with aliens, and
Uh,
he uses colors and like scene composition really amazingly in that movie to convey a sense of calm. Like there's a lot of very large wide shots with like the shape of the
The
spaceship is
ship,
very, it's like it's a curve. It looks like a half an orange, and then you see it against a horizon. Everything is straight, everything is calm. It's a very natural like color palette, and then when you go in there, it's like lots of calming grays and whites. And the way that they shoot it is and because I saw this when I was in film school, so we were learning about this stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, that's so cool that he used it to, everyone's freaking out, but everything you see on screen is like the opposite of that. So I was like, that's really cool. And then you just come into like, Blade Runner, and that's a lot of pretty colors, at least. Like there's pretty stuff, and he really leans hard. I know cinema used to do the whole like blue and orange, but then it went to blue and like hot pink, and that's totally in there. And that was such a downer story, and that was such a
It's
like
very
it was such
depressing.
a nihilistic
Yeah.
like movie. And
I mean,
I
so
was just,
the original's pretty sad too, though.
it is too, but it's fun. It's got the noir
I mean,
stuff,
come on,
and
the monologue at the end. It's like we all just
it is. but it
So
was-
depending on whether or not you consider Harrison Ford a replicant or not, I think changes your.
yeah.
And then Blade Runner was so depressing because it's like the whole movie's basically like a red herring, and it's all about the girl, and it's like this guy just his whole life and existence is meaningless, and it's just like, ugh.
I can understand Blade Runner like that, not liking Blade Runner. That one's pretty like you either love it or you hate it. But Arrival's fantastic. You didn't like Sicario?
I like Sicario, yeah. But like,
Sicario's
I
good?
think like Arrival and Sicario are not what his later films
Sure.
are, because he's gone
Well-
so much for this substance thing, and then by the time it's like the first Dune movie, it's like, okay, there's a lot of really expansive, vast set pieces. Everything's big. There's a sense of scale, and he did with the color schemes a lot like more subdued, but it was like still there to an extent. And then you get to the second movie, and it's like, yeah, it's got the big set pieces, but like half of the movie is shot in twilight or dark, and then the whole part on Harkoon where it's just black and white, and I'm like, is this like they're shooting it in black and white, or is this in
But that was-
monochromatic?
It
I'm
was
like, why?
it was shot in
Black sun.
infrared because their sun is black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime they're indoors, you can see color, and then when they step
Really?
outside,
And I'm
it's
like,
monochrome.
why? Like, there's
No,
no.
but then-
Because it's
There were a couple
cool.
of-
It's
if you
cool,
watch- yeah.
Lady
There's
B.
a shot where you can see somebody walking
Are we at
from
rule
inside,
of cool now?
and they're
Oh
in
my God.
color, and then they walk outside and they're black and white. That transition was
Yeah.
really, really
But
cool.
they're
That was
really
neat.
not in
Really weird
color.
with it,
Like
though.
the inside, the interior was like monochromatic too. So
I mean,
there's
it was
nothing-
definitely like a subdued, like blue, like kind of dark blues and different things like that. But you could see like color in their skin.
You
and stuff
could
like
a
that, as
little
opposed to the
bit,
white.
but like there's
Yeah.
if I hadn't read like let's just put it this way. If I hadn't read like any of the Wikipedia entries because we were having this sort of thematic conversation about it, and if I hadn't read anything, I would absolutely not know anything about like the mythology of this world or like any kind of the backstory of what is going on.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the issues with this film is we talk about it's kind of the opposite of a lot of these other films that just hit you over the head with repeated explanations, and
It does not hold your hand. No.
yeah, this one does not hold your hand at all. It's very
And having listened to the book, I think I mentioned this last week, but having listened to the book on audiobook a while back, but I was listening to it at double speed and I was super tired all the time. There were pieces of it where I was like, I'm not quite sure which way this is going with this, but watching the movie, I felt like it did a great job of explaining just enough to realize like, this is the political machinations that are going on of like, you know, the emperor's doing this and setting them up for failure, and but you know they're here, and this one explores even more into the idea that like there was rivalry between the emperor and the Atreides family, and
I really like that.
But you know what's really funny in both parts? They just tell you, they don't show you. I mean, we're just talking about Game of Thrones. Like, we've all watched that. Like, we don't see any of that on screen. It's just that, they come back and, like, what was it? Like, who even says that? Someone just straight up says, what if, like, it was the Emperor that set up the, like, Atreides family to get destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and the thing is they
it was. He sent Sardaukar troops. We already that wasn't like a reveal.
So they explained it a little bit, but you saw a lot of the pieces to it. Because to me, like again, you were told, the Emperor sending them over there, and then you're told, like, you're able to piece together that he's setting them up, and they kind of piece that together, and then somebody in this movie says, the Emperor set them up, and points to the other thing that we saw, which was the Sardaukar, which was so we saw pieces of it, and then they clarified it just a little bit.
The Sardaukar are the Emperor's army.
Yeah.
Where was the Sardaukar?
Sardaukar was the white guys with the red 3 fingers.
So it said in the first movie that
they were the ones who weren't in black. They were the bad guys who weren't in all black.
Right.
The all black are the Harkonnen troops.
Yeah.
The Sardaukar are the white guys.
And it said in
When
the
did the
first movie
Sardaukar come?
In part one, the Emperor lent like a couple legions of his Sardaukar troops to kill the Duke.
Yeah,
to
invade
invade Arrakis.
There was the scene where you see the one Harkonnen the one like aide to the Harkonnen guy say go in and talk to the leader of some army. Like there's this whole thing of army, this whole like army arrayed, and they're like sacrificing people on a pyramid or whatever.
It's his mentat.
Those are the Sardaukar, and he's saying, hey, the Emperor told you to come with us and help us invade Arrakis and take Arrakis back. So you saw them there in the first one, and then
they're the ones who have that like
horn. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was weird.
But in the second one, it kind of explains the motivations for why the Emperor did that.
And then this one also had a lot of really good action, and like the scene where Paul is like tells the Reverend Mother, the head of the Bene Gesserit, to be silent. Like that was some owning, but he was owning that scene where he was just like, no, I'm in charge now. This is what's going to happen. Like compared to what you see like him do in other places, like that was some good domination going on.
We unfortunately do not get a Sting cameo, but what's the actor's name? Butterfield, whatever.
Austin Butler.
Oh,
Austin
no,
Butler.
No, Austin Butler. Yeah.
Austin Butler does a fantastic job in Sting's place.
It was Austin Butler.
So Austin Butler, he was
Fade Ralph,
guy, brother of.
The guy.
Batista's brother.
He's the nice guy.
The sick twisted guy that like stabbed him and stuff. Yeah. So this is the interesting thing. So like there was a show it was for the Shannara series or whatever. They were doing a very CWE whatever. I saw he was on that and you're just like, oh okay, because again it was very.
Oh, he was the lead in that, wasn't he?
And then he pops in. He played Elvis.
He's not what's bad in that show.
No, absolutely not. Like I got him.
But
he's good looking.
So like, but this is what I'm talking about though. Is you go from that to then you go to him playing Elvis, and he like put himself in that so much that like he almost couldn't break out of speaking in Elvis's accent for a long time after the film was done because he was like doing it so much. And then in this one, he did such a great job because he sounded like
he does. He sounds
had the voice of Stellan Skarsgård. Oh gosh!
I was impressed the first time he spoke. I was like, oh, like that's really good.
That was such a cool little bit to me because again, like you have Dave Bautista there.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary because Dave Bautista's just doing Dave Bautista.
Doesn't tell him but he was able to pull that in. You're like, oh, not just because you look like him and because you're telling me that you're from his family, you sound like him. That was awesome.
I didn't like though how they just kind of cast off Dave Bautista's character. He was just kind of laughable at this point.
It was kind of silly to just end like that.
Well, that's book accurate though.
Yeah.
Okay? So I can understand like not getting everything from because I've read the book, so I understood everything and I was filling in the gaps with my book knowledge. But and the movie certainly doesn't hold your hand. But just like David said, I think it gives you just enough information where you can get it on your own. And then if you read the book, you're like, oh, this is more detail.
I just felt like the character motivations weren't really clear. It's like, what does Paul want? Does he want to help free Arrakis, or does he want to
has
get
the visions?
Over?
Yeah, after he has the visions, his whole motivation changes, and it doesn't really explain that.
And then with the visions, there's no explanation. And I read the Wikipedia entry, so I know he's taking Spice to have the visions. And I'm like, why is that not explained? Why isn't his relationship to Spice explained in the movie? Because
that's the one thing I wish they explained more. That Spice gives
what
you.
Is Spice? Like they don't even explain what that is.
Yeah,
like,
they needed to explain Spice just a little bit better.
Yeah, because I was going to say, how much do they explain Spice in the even in the book though? Like I missed bits and pieces of it, but
do it pretty much.
I don't know. They also lean a lot on the worm venom being the thing that like triggered a thing that was like a big trigger to him was the worm venom, you know. That caused certain visions and clarity with the visions, but
so it doesn't tell you the future. It gives you multiple possibilities of what the future could be.
Yeah, and I felt like they because they explored that a little bit with the first movie too. Because you see scenes like in his visions, you see scenes of the one
of him being best friends with the black guy.
Saying, hey, I'm going to teach you and I'm going to help you, and then like they have to fight and he kills him immediately. So like that's not a vision of what actually ended up happening. It was a vision of what could have happened.
Yes,
you know?
and there is there is one line in part 2 where he says, "I've seen multiple visions of the future, and there's one path where things work out well." But I do agree they definitely could have explained Spice a little bit better.
Well,
and I'm working off of book knowledge.
They like when
they do it a little bit. I'm saying it could have been explained a little better.
Too much Spice. No. Your dreams are getting worse because you've been exposed to the Spice out here too long.
It's the sort of thing where they told us a little bit, but they needed to show us a little bit more. I think.
They needed to emphasize that Paul was the result of the Bene Gesserit breeding experiment.
That too.
And they did that very briefly in the first 10 minutes of part 1, and then
they explained it a little bit better in 2. Yeah.
Did they? Okay.
No,
they said like the only thing they mentioned about Spice having anything is he's eating a bowl and there's some like glitter in the bowl, and he's like, You've been
Oh,
exposed
there's
to a lot of
spices.
spice.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit don't have to. That's not about spice. He
Yeah,
was
so
talking about
that's a separate
the
thing.
Bene Gesserit, like literal eugenics.
So I will
Yeah.
also say, Alan, that you're under. Oh, sorry. But what he was
Tell
getting
him
at
I
is that,
said
like,
so.
in part 2, he says that they do explain
It's-
the Bene Gesserit, like, eugenics program that led to Paul Atreides
Yeah,
being.
it's explained.
the-
It's explained when they're talking about Fade Ralpha. They say they explain it vicariously through Fade Ralpha's explanation
That-
when they're securing his seed. They said we were trying to create the Kwisatz Haderach, and Jessica went rogue, and he was not.
And had a
We
boy
weren't.
instead of
He
a girl.
wasn't. She wasn't supposed to make a boy. They can choose what gender their babies are. They can control. They can literally control the molecules inside their body.
Plain.
Well,
Like,
that's
there's no-
also.
I know.
I
know.
will say, Alan, this is where our book knowledge.
This is
actually
book
really
knowledge,
did-
okay? This is
Yeah.
book.
Because they hint at it enough that those of us with book knowledge are like,
Yes.
oh, this is
For
where
me-
they're explaining that thing that we know the rest of it.
Right.
And they did touch on it, but I can definitely get that if you weren't aware of that those lines of dialogue might not have connected to anything to help
Yes.
you know, oh, this is them explaiing that they are doing this eugenics type thing where they're really trying
Like,
to get
I
that's happening.
100% recommend reading the book.
I want to read the book because
it's
honestly, these
phenomenal.
movies were like extremely just as a story. They were like boring, and they really just didn't make sense.
They are drawn out. They have an epic feel. To me, that's the way that it comes across. Is rather than boring, it comes across as epic in scope. It's a big scope, and I think a lot of that is because
Arabia is an epic movie, but like every scene has like a through line, and there's just stuff in here that doesn't. And there's or another thing that I had a problem with is the Johnny character. It's like the way that they present her relationship with Paul is it's like she's just this I met this cute guy in the desert. Oh my god, desert twink, I have a new boyfriend. And it's like they present them like, for one thing, I'm like, we never get to see them do anything together that would actually like explain why they have a relationship. There's no development of the interpersonal thing there, and there's just a lot of telling. It's like she thinks she is simultaneous, like in the first movie and stuff. She was, we don't really see her in the first movie. We see her in the second movie. In the first movie, she's very much like, I want to you're gonna save Arrakis. We're all gonna get free. It's gonna be awesome. But simultaneously, in the second movie, she's also like, oh, you're gonna just like use us to get powerful. So it's like, if you think why are you fucking him? Excuse me.
Okay. It's okay. You get one. It's a PG-13. You get one.
She is the weakest part.
It is better explained in the books, and that's where you're really missing out, because Paul has literally seen visions of his future with her, so he already knows he's going to fall in love, and she gets high on spice, and they have a space orgy. So. That's.
I mean, as a writer, I could logically see how this could happen. Like, she could initially meet him and think he's a hot guy, and she wants to go ride sand. She wants to ride a sandworm. Like, that's cool. Like, I can see that, and then gradually she learns more about him and realizing, like, hey, this guy is like, he's he has some
basically
motivation, and so we could this would change, but it literally just changes like. It's like
so basically what happens is there is this wasn't shown in the movies. There was no orgy in the movie, okay? But they basically have a ceremony where they all take spice together, and it basically gives them groupthink. Their minds all connect to each other, and so like she sees like his visions of them in the future. So they basically instantly connect. In the books,
that's something that would be really easy to show, and you wouldn't have to necessarily make it desert.
That could have been done better. And your other complaints are my one problem with part 2. They made some changes with Chani's character that I absolutely do not like.
Okay, so I haven't read the book, and I do not remember the original film because I only saw it once a long time ago.
She is basically Stilgar's character. She's supposed to be what Stilgar was in the movie. She instantly latches on and she's worshiping him from the get-go. She never. And I understand it was smart of them to show factions of
I agree with that.
of the
the accent.
The Fremen?
of the Fremen, and show that not all of them are on board, because what you might not realize is basically, although she's not supposed to be saying it, what Chani is saying in part 2 is 100% true. They had a religion on Arrakis, and the Bene Gesserit came in and manipulated everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that I definitely picked up there was some manipulation.
The entire doctrine of the Lisan al-Gaib is made up.
Yes.
It's created so that the Bene Gesserit have insurance that will protect their science experiment. They're doing eugenics to create a Kwisatz Haderach, which is what's also not explained is that drinking the water of life, which is like pure spice concentrate, because spice comes from the worms, and the water of life is created by sacrificing a worm. Water kills it, and it turns it. The water of life will, when you become a Reverend Mother, you basically inherit the genetic memory of all of your ancestors.
Oh,
you
cool.
you become them. Like, well, no, you don't become them. You basically get Matt, right? You get all of Matt's memories, except all
you get
at once.
Ray.
No,
She's all of the Jedi.
You get Rand.
You get Ray.
She's all of the
All the
Jedi.
Jedi.
Palpatine is all of the Sith.
Yeah.
It's like I can
Sorry,
see
bad
it.
analogy.
So that's what the Reverend Mothers, that's what the Bene Gesserits can do. They can see all into the past, and they're super smart. And so they and the purpose of their experiments is they are trying to create the Kwisatz Haderach, which is the perfect specimen, the perfect Aryan man who when
we end up with a desert twig.
they're literal eugenicists. Okay, they end up. Well, Paul was never supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach, okay? Okay, it was supposed to be Fade Ralpha and
we should have got the guy that looks like the engineers.
It was supposed to be the child of the Princess Illurian, and Fade Ralpha was going to be the Kwisatz Haderach. Okay,
I thought they were still just biding their time, waiting forever to get to it. I didn't.
No, it was literally going to be the next generation, and so Jessica screwed them over. They were
like, remember how like all of the Wheel of Time book starts, and there's all these like poems and stuff that people write. Like, what if some Bene Gesserit was just writing like something like the second movie starts with the Empress, like or daughter of the Emperor, whoever she is, like making like journal entries, just like a 3-minute scene of that would just explain so much.
Yeah, there's a lot to explain though. Like they do have her explain a lot in the journal entries, and like I think if they went harder, people would be complaining, "Oh, this is just exposition the whole time." It's a really hard balance. I definitely agree they should have done a little bit more, but like I have a hard time faulting Denis Villeneuve, because like that's a really thin tightrope to walk versus too much exposition and not enough action, right? But I do agree it needed a little teeny bit more. But basically, what the Kwisatz Haderach is it's a male Reverend Mother, and what men can do that women can't, and it's hinted at in the movie. They say that the Kwisatz Haderach will be able to look where we've never been able to look, which if a male Bene Gesserit takes the water of life, not only will they be able to see into the past, but they will also be able to see into the future.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to create like the ultimate being to be able to, for like supremacy. They are very racist,
Yeah,
they want like, total control.
It just doesn't come across, and if you didn't know anything about it, it's like you wouldn't have to have someone explain what spice is. Give us a scene where somebody's using spice, so what it is and why it's valuable is.
He definitely went.
Hints of it,
he definitely went a little bit too artistic, which I mean, you got to give it to him. Looks phenomenal. It's a gorgeous movie. Absolutely. He could have done a little bit more explanation, and I 100% agree.
What you were asking for, Lady Bellfire, when in the first movie when they are going to try to rescue the people that are doing the spice mining, and the thing fails or whatever, and he goes down and he gets hit by that blast of wind that has a lot of spice in it, and it kind of freezes him because he's seeing all these visions. That's him doing spice for the first time, and so that's, again, they touch on it, but they don't quite connect the pieces well enough that if you're not watching the book or you're not familiar with the book, that maybe you're missing it.
And
again, I was only barely familiar with it.
Other
That helped a
film
lot.
versions of this story, though, they have the scene where they travel from Kaladin to Arrakis, and you get to see
the Spacing Guild,
the Spacing Guild.
Because
who is
isn't that
using
the spice uses
yes.
it for space travel,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So
I learned that from Wikipedia.
Because there was a machine war, artificial intelligence has been outlawed. They only have very basic computers. They use spice to enhance their cognition, to be able to make the calculations
So they
to
use
travel through
Arctic
space.
on like coke to like get all their computation stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, the Spacing Guild, they've basically been on spice for so long, they're turning into like slug creatures. Like they're no longer human.
They're merging.
Reddit
they're becoming
mods.
the worms. Yes, Reddit mods.
They are yeah.
Sorry, that was me. I'm like curious though, because there were some like logic things, and I don't know if this is in the book, but
Really quickly though, before you move on to another subject,
okay.
To also give Denis Villeneuve a little bit more credit, a lot of the stuff regarding seeing into the future via spice isn't covered until the second book.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not even in the actual original book.
There's a little bit, but it doesn't go into big detail until book 2, and that's really, really important for book 2.
And that's Dune Messiah, right? Is the
Dune
name
Messiah,
of the second book?
But okay, go on, Lady B. What were you going to say?
I was just real quick going to ask your follow-up on how you like Dune Messiah and the rest of the Dune books.
I love Dune Messiah. Okay, I really like Dune. Dune Messiah is even better. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's one of the strongest ones. Children of Dune is like on par with Dune. I don't know which one's better. And then book 4, God Emperor of Dune, is 10 out of 10. It's the best one. It's so freaking good.
Sorry, okay, now you can go. I just wanted to know those other pieces because I'm planning.
Yeah, I just said that there was like logical stuff, and I don't know if this is explained in the book or something. Just like
I've only read the first 4. I'm planning on reading 5 and 6 sometime soon.
Like, how do they control sandworms and riding them? And is there any reason why they have it? Okay,
they definitely should have thrown in a line there because I had to lean over and explain it to the guy who was watching it with.
So okay, just before you answer it, let me do it. Okay, first, why didn't they explain riding sandworms? And if they can use them like they did at the end of the second movie, is there any reason why they didn't do that to fight the Harkonnen in the first place? And second, number 3, why did they put like artillery on these things and go to war? Like, come on.
Well, okay, you can't permanently control a sandworm, okay? And this was shown visually, and I really wish that there was just a throwaway line explaining it because the sandworms dive in and out of the sand.
Yeah, that's
okay?
what I thought. Right?
And once you mount them, this was shown visually but never explained, the hooks pull open their gills.
Oh, they have gills. Okay.
Yeah, you could see it pulled back, and you saw little like gills in there, which let them breathe underwater, breathe under the sand. If their gills are open and they dive, they will die.
Well, that's a really great explanation.
So once you mount the sandworm,
I saw that
they
in the movie,
hold
so it worked for me.
The hooks pull the gills open and keeps the sandworms from diving. Now,
I was like,
and you can only ride them.
Like on a dragon or something.
Riding them above the sand tires them out. So you can ride them to death, but you will have to let go eventually and let them dive back into the sand to recover their strength. And so that's why you can't like domesticate them, right? Because you have to release them back into the wild and recapture them every time. It's very dangerous doing it, right? A lot of people die. So that's why they don't mount them with artillery or any just getting on top of one is a pretty big.
Yeah. I didn't remember any of that from the book.
We had like armies coming on, and you had like 5 or 6 of these things coming all at the same time in like unified organizational. So I was if they're doing this now, why did they just get rid of the Harkonnens like before?
The other
Well,
and
the other
the
thing
answer
is
to
they
that
can't-
is kind of explained in part 2. They are not one people. There are factions.
And the people in the South, they didn't even know existed because they stayed so far away from them.
Well, the Harkonnens didn't know they existed, but yeah. So
Right.
so like they didn't have anything to unify them against the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
the
also
Harkonnens were
Harkonnens
bad.
were
The
training
Harkonnens
on
were bad before, but not as bad as they were after they took over from the Atreides because they had to like double down. So they were kind of just happy being ignored.
Yeah.
And because they were under oppression, but like again, the Harkonnens didn't even know that they thought there were like thousands of, but there were millions of these people, right?
Yeah. Also, the Harkonnens, they were holed up in their big, sanctuary city, which the sandworms can't get in there. They can only go where there's sand. They can't go in there's rocks or stone.
Yeah,
or
there
anything like that.
and
this
it
attack
goes
was
over
against
like there are
the
parts
Emperors.
there are parts that the sandworms can't even get to.
Right.
No.
But yeah, I wish that was explained a lot more. I liked how they showed how you mount the sandworms in the first place, and I didn't understand how that riding them like that would force them to not go underground. That was a question I had, but I just assumed that they were steering it by pulling.
They
back
are, yeah,
flaps or whatever.
but it's also they're like gills.
But they also never explained how you dismount. And
how do you get off of that thing? It's like a train.
You
Other
tire
people up on it.
you ride the worm until they tire out, and then
But
you
that's
can
not explained. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
great, you're on the worm. Now you have a whole bunch of people riding this worm. Like, what's the
train
train now?
doesn't have a
That's not gonna take
station.
away from my- That's not going to take away from my enjoyment of the movie because we don't need to know that for the purpose of the
Oh
movie.
no!
I'm not mad that they didn't explain that, but I definitely was like, how do you get all the rest of the? Because like how hard it was to get the one person on there to ride. Then
Right.
how do you get these other things all
Yeah,
loaded
it's
up
just
on
a
there?
logical
and then how do
issue.
you
Like if
unload
there
is,
was
like,
A
like
logistical
something-
issue, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just wish
but-
it showed them just like pulling back on the hooks until it brings the sandworm to a stop, and then you can load everything else up and load off or whatever, and then
Yeah.
have
That's what they do, but it's not shown.
Yeah.
But it's,
Um,
yeah,
So
I
I
need-
will say,
okay.
also, I don't remember the whole Gil explanation from the book. I don't know if that comes in a later book or I just didn't miss it, like I missed it in the first book. But I will say to give Denis Villeneuve
He showed
some
him.
credit.
He showed him several times.
Showed it, and I wasn't sure, but I was like, oh, I'll bet you that's probably what's going on. Is that's probably like they're pulling that up, and that keeps it up, or that keeps it so it doesn't want to go down. So like,
Okay.
again, it was maybe just a little too lightly touched on, but I'll give him credit that since he showed it, it helped me get an idea that might be what was going on.
Okay, I need to take like 5 minutes to go put this girl back to bed. So I'm gonna try. I've never tried this before. I'm gonna try playing an ad.
Ooh.
And then you guys could just vamp for a little bit, and I'll be
I may
I'll be
also-
right back.
Well, okay, I'll stay.
Okay, plan.
all right.
Okay,
Let's do this.
there we go. You won't be able to see it on here,
Oh,
but it should be on YouTube.
how do we know when it's off?
Out to an ad. Oh,
Uh-oh.
So we're-
Is it going?
I'm curious. I wonder,
Okay, let me.
how are we going to know? That's going to be the problem. Is we're not going to know. I'm watching on the live right now, and I'm not seeing it go to an ad.
Yep.
So,
I don't see an ad.
It looks like it's at an ad on our end. It's a
No, it's
Nope.
still going with us right now.
Perfect. Didn't work.
all right, in the chat, let us know if you're getting an ad or not. Pop in and let it and be like, no ad playing. Yeah, Mark's saying
No ad playing. Yep, that's hilarious.
Oh, Justin got to
Well-
go to an ad. I wonder if there's a difference between member versus not member, though.
Oh yeah.
Could be going on. I don't know.
I'm logged in as my show.
I think it was just
account,
showing
not
an
that
ad
well.
just because I had opened YouTube for the first time on my phone. So
That
Oh.
could be too. Yeah.
I'm
Weird.
glad we
Well-
learned. 'Cause I was about to
well-
make a George Floyd joke. All right. My issue with this movie, and it's kind of my issue with the first movie.
Yeah.
Let us have it.
I hate these characters. Like Zendaya's only role in movies now seems to be just
Yeah.
ripping on twinks. Like she is to twinks what Husqvarna is to trees. Like that's all she does. and it's the same role in like 4 different movies. Like it was
Like
literally an
Spider-Man, like The Greatest Showman. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I
it's
mean, there was
so true.
literally an
Oh, yeah.
advertisement for the next Zendaya rips on twink movies. The
Gosh,
tennis
she's like in a
player one.
polyamorous
Oh, yeah.
relationship with
Two twinks at once.
Yes, like she's gotten so
That movie
good
looks
at-
so bad.
It does.
Yeah, and it was the same thing in this movie, and I was a little bit
Yeah.
confused. Also, she's not hot enough to be Chani, and fucking Timothy Chalamet's waist being this wide.
How
really-
did he beat up that Harkonnen guy at the end? Like, I'm like, dude, like a girl could have just kicked his ass. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've seen like what's his name? That was Professor X. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're talking
The
about.
original
James
Patrick Stewart.
McAvoy.
or-
James
not
McAvoy. Okay,
James
yeah, I've
McAvoy.
actually like I met him in person one time, and it's like, you know, he started off as being like kind of a twinkie guy, but like when he got older, he muscled up. So I could see how you could have somebody like that being maybe like a little playing like, you know, the first Paul, early Paul, like he doesn't know shit yet, and he's out in the
No.
desert, and then he bulks up and could fight somebody like.
I don't know. I bought it with the acting there, and again, they got the action scenes where you saw him doing. They did some really good stuff with the action scenes too. Even
Yeah.
though, like,
When
my
there was
own knowledge
action-
of how like small and puny he like Timothy Chalamet is makes it a little harder to feel like I really want to believe it. But I was caught up in the story well enough, and what they did show us of him being successful in the fights, and not just because they told us he was being successful in the fights, or they were having somebody like very obviously job to him, but like you saw him trading some blows in a way that I thought, to me, sold it to me. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I get where you're coming from, but it worked for me.
It was
I
not
thought
bad,
that was fine.
but I look at like the 2000 version with Alec Newman, and like that's a dude. Like that's a guy that like looks like he could be in a fight.
Yeah, that
Um,
is pretty cool.
I don't like Timothy Chalamet in general. He is perfectly cast as Paul Atreides.
I
He is supposed. That is 100%
And give me
perfectly-
James McAvoy twink.
No.
That's the better twink there.
perfectly how he's described in the books. He is.
All right,
He is
I'm gonna
not
actually
supposed
get
to
outta
be
here,
big and muscular.
I
Have a
see
good
you
one,
guys
Jared.
later.
Hey,
Have a good
take
one.
care,
Enjoy
Brandon.
talking
Nice
about the
to
rest
see
of
you.
it.
yeah.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining, Jared.
It sounds like you did the ad play. Did it work?
No,
No.
we were just
Bro,
riffing the whole time.
some people in the chat said that it
No,
did.
you wouldn't be able to see it in here. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube,
Other
I saw it on
people on YouTube, we checked on our other accounts, and it worked for some people, didn't for others.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Oh, I totally like the sandworms in this version of it. The 2000 mini thing, like they look meaner. Like what with the cilia and stuff that look like.
I have not watched the
don't-
mini series. I have
Me
it. And I
neither.
tend to. I have watched the Children of Dune, the mini series, with my dad. I watched it a long time ago, and I had no idea what was going on. And the ending is just wild if you don't know what's going on. But it sounds like you guys were complaining about Zendaya too, and I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a good actress at all.
Yeah.
I would have been perfectly happy if they cast someone else as Shia.
Okay, next
Is
thing.
that her name?
Just
But
leave it.
also, what they give her in part 2, I don't like,
Yeah.
and I'm really afraid that they are going to give her a different role in the next movie.
yes, that's
I feel
what's
like
going to have
this movie
to.
was almost more about her than about Paul.
Yes, she was. Up
They're
until
trying
the
to,
last
like,
25 minutes, she
really
was the main
prime
character
us.
of this movie.
I liked narratively what they introduced via her character, but it should not have been her. It should not have been through her character.
Right.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yes.
Because it was important to, and they actually got away with explaining some of the exposition that in the books by making that change, because that is a change. The first people the first Fremen that he's introduced with, they all kind of they're all on board, and he has to get the other people, the other CHs, to join him. making that change immediately actually helped with the exposition. Like, I thought it was a smart change to get some of the world building out there in a natural way, but it should not have been through Cheney.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I really just did not like her acting in here, and they tried to explain it away like, didn't you notice the accent of the other guy? Yeah, he's the southern tribe, and the northern tribe doesn't have accents, but it just
It's not that noticeable.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
I 100% agree. The effects are invisible. You can't tell that it's CGI, and that's how it should be.
The CGI was good.
Yeah, that was
Phenomenal. They added part 1 is basically a 1-to-1 adaptation. Like, they didn't add anything. They skipped a lot of things, but there isn't anything in part 1 that's not in the books other than the race and gender swap of Liet Kynes, which I was worried about.
Who was that?
The black woman doctor.
The black woman who is the minister of the change. It's not minister. It's something else.
Herald of the Change.
Something of the change. She's supposed to be. He is supposed to be the non-biased third party, representing the Emperor, making sure that the Harkonnens don't screw over the Atreides. They're supposed to give everything over, but he's ordered by the Emperor to say nothing.
Yeah.
And what you find out is secretly, he's actually the leader of the Fremen. And his goal is to turn Arrakis into the paradise that it once was. A goal that is thwarted and stopped once the Empire figures out that sandworms are killed by water. And so if they turn Dune back into the paradise that it was, spice is gone.
Spice. You know, that's such a simple explanation that could be totally worked in somehow.
And that's kind of comes in more. That's basically just mentioned in book 1. That's more important in later books. And so I was very concerned that they might, in part 2, he's supposed to die where he dies, and then you find out later, oh crap, that was the leader of the Fremen. But they just gave his character to Stilgard, which is fine because Stilgard gets put in charge upon his death. Yeah. But I was really afraid they were going to say, yeah, Liet Kynes was our leader and she's a strong, powerful woman. And they didn't do that. So it bothered me because of what because of what it could have done to part 2. But having seen part 2, I'm like, I don't care. You fine, whatever. Get your DEI race swap, gender swap into a character that's going to die and not going to matter.
That's fair.
That was concerning to me. As concerning as the Chani changes in part 2 really don't matter unless they screw it up in the next part. It still bothers me much more so than the Liet Kynes change. There are some narratively there are some issues that make it an inferior story, but it's not going to be a really, really big problem unless they do what I just hope they're not going to do in part 3.
There's some stuff they're going to have to dig out of if they want to do genocide.
When I first saw it, what I thought they were going to do, which actually would have been a good change, I thought they were going to kill Cheney off in this book. Or in part 2, because he's supposed to have a son with Cheney who gets killed.
Yes.
When the Harkonnens come back and attack the CH.
Yes.
Their son gets murdered. And that's the driving force that convinces him, in spite of his fears of visions of the future, of seeing the horrors of war, to finally going to the southern tribes and rallying their support. Like he's hesitant to do that because he doesn't want to bring death and destruction, and then the death of his son pushes him over the edge into revenge.
Yes.
And I thought
it's interesting, a chain of causation. This is something this movie was missing.
And so seeing the changes that they were making with Chani having her be more rebellious. I didn't think they were going to kill her off when the CH was attacked. I thought they were going to kill her off when they used the atomics, and she was just in the wrong spot and gets killed by his own hand, which actually would have been really good.
Which kind of
they kind of hinted at with her like face melting off. When I saw that, I was like, they're going to kill her off, and then they didn't. Like, if they killed her off, it would have solved a lot of the problems, because they also hinted at Princess Allurian trying to make a baby with him, which...
Is that the Emperor's daughter?
Yes. So he does marry her, but he keeps Chani as a concubine, and he never consummates the marriage with Princess Allurian.
Huh. Yeah.
Despite her trying to. So I thought, it's fine if they kill off Chani, and he just has his 2 children with Princess Allurian, and that could be the driving force. That's fine. But I'm afraid they're gonna.
Rand has so much more play. Like, he's so much more of a pimp than this guy.
I know. Well, like, Chani even like gives him permission. He's like, yeah, just because she needs an heir to secure. Like, it's a political marriage. They need an heir. And he refuses to give her one, which causes some problems. But it's because he's so in love with Chani. And even Chani's like, look, just sleep with her, okay? Like,
just knock her up once, yeah. Couple things that annoyed the shit out of me. Their eyes weren't blue enough.
Yeah, nobody had blue eyes. I was waiting for that.
It was more subtle.
Was hitting them, but yeah, I agree. They should have been bluer.
The still suits sucked. Nobody wore the hood. Nobody wore the fucking
it was almost like the Halo problem. They kept the whole point of the still suit is to, and they kept wearing it except for the head. And you're like, well, I get you want to show the actor's face, but it kind of breaks the realism.
Yeah.
Can we at least do the face mask thing?
Yeah. At least put the. That bothered me. Yeah.
The lasers.
What about them?
I was going to bring that up.
That completely decimates everything.
Yeah.
And is never used ever.
Yes.
And cuts right through shields without a problem.
No, it doesn't. They don't cut through shields.
If
a laser gun hits a shield, it basically creates like a horrible explosion that will kill the person shooting the laser gun too. You you cannot use laser guns against shields.
So
and I was paying attention the whole time. They only use them after they disable shields.
Okay. That was one of my questions. They should have explained that then, because
I know. I agree. They should have explained it, because that becomes very important in later books.
When they were taking down that spider
that was
thing, that was an awesome scene. It was great. They
the spider things, they can't use shields.
Right.
That's why they were able to hit those with laser guns.
Right, but they were
airborne
doing all this thing to take out the dragonfly ship, right? That does have the shields. And then
they were using rocket. They for the flying ships, they were using those spinny rockets.
Rocket things, right? But they had to do this whole maneuverability,
the little dreidel rockets
thing behind the shadow of the spider legs, so they could get a clear shot to shoot this dragonfly thing, which was a great scene. But then immediately after that, a dozen of those little laser things come and take out the thing. I'm like, why did the shield was disabled
before? Yeah, because they disabled the shield,
and then
they could
the hell out of me. You're absolutely right. Okay.
I know, and I loved it because I'd read the books and I was really paying attention to make sure they didn't mess that up.
They should have explained.
Okay.
I agree.
I was with you because I was doing the same thing. I was trying to make sure that they didn't use the lasers on the shields, but there was one. It was the hot air balloon thing.
That
the carryall.
The carryall.
One of the carryalls that they fucked, or a couple of the carryalls that they fucked up with the lasers. That, like, I get you would have to turn it off, when you're down and picking it up. But the problem was they had the thropter with the shield. And it didn't cause the sandworm, even though it was only a couple feet above the dirt.
Yeah, maybe because they're smaller. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and if that's the explanation for it,
I don't know.
But it that annoyed me because it was very effective, and I have the annoyance that I have with the books where put the shield on, get shot by the laser gun, and you're gonna blow up yourself.
Basically, think feedback loop.
Yeah, I mean it's a big ass
Then why
explosion.
not just go
from
to
what I
ballistic
remember, but
missiles? And why aren't they using guns?
Because shields
the
block them.
shields stop the high speed bullets.
The slow moving blade penetrates the shield.
Yes, and that I'm just gonna say it. The first one, that Jason Momoa fight, was ridiculous with none of the Sardaukar shields working. We watched it before we went to see the movie, and that annoyed the shit out of me. I know Duncan Idaho is a stud and always gets this done.
Yeah, they should have showed him slowing down once he gets there a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that there's the choreography in that fight looks cool, but they did
It kind of ignores.
They could have done that better.
Functionality, yeah. Most of the time, though, when he makes the fast movement, it's when he's pulling it out. So it'll show him like attacking, and then he'll just like.
But there are definitely there are absolutely
right.
mistakes made in that fight scene.
100%.
But it looks cool, and you got to turn your brain off just a second there. Yeah, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. What else was there that? Okay, and you were gone when I mentioned this, and no, you weren't. I was going to say your response that Paul Atreides isn't supposed to be jacked.
Yeah,
I agree. The caveat that I'm going to throw out is
he can see into the future. That's the answer.
Well, 1965 skinny athlete is significantly different.
Okay. Than modern day skinny. Yeah. Okay.
But
okay. That's fair.
So
I don't like him as an actor. Okay, but I think he's doing a pretty good job.
Okay,
I have one comment to make to Mark. I know you're salty about this, and that's totally fine. I get it. Like, we're all like that, but it's like, but read the books. Okay, if this is something I have with adaptations, and this is something that we've learned,
and I agree with what you're about to say,
is that we read the books, and so we know the background. So when we watch it, we fill it in with our heads. You should be able to watch a movie or a TV show and understand the story and sort of like get at least a vague like an idea of what's going on, what the stakes are, and how the magic system in the world works.
I have always said,
read it.
if you have to read the book to understand the adaptation, you have failed as an adaptation.
Right.
No, and I actually think some of the older versions did much better in that regard. No, I mean, obviously, I think this is maybe better, because it brings a lot else to the table.
Right.
I have my issues with DV, but I especially after watching Wheel of Time, I at least get the impression that Villanueva understands that epic fantasy is supposed to be epic. Whereas I feel like so many people, especially in Hollywood and like TV shows especially, don't understand that any opportunity you have to make something epic, you should. And I will say that's one thing about this that I do appreciate.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm on the board that it's passable as an adaptation. You don't have to read the books. You just have to be a little smarter, okay? But I'm obviously biased because I've read them, and so I'm automatically filling in the gaps. But like I tried to focus and pay attention. Like, is this giving enough information? And for me, I think it gives just enough. Should have given a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously blind to that a little bit.
I mean, I could make extrapolations of what was supposed to happen, but if I'm going to judge something, I'm not judging I'm judging what I see as a viewer. I'm not judging what I'm like filling in the blanks in my mind. Yeah. So I mean.
I agree with you 100%.
And that's fair. You probably should have explained a little bit more. And you're talking about the epicness, which is some of the changes in part one, basically changes by omission. They just had to cut stuff. Part two, they added a lot that wasn't in the books that made it better. Aside from the Chani changes, I didn't dislike any of the other changes. They added a lot of.
What some of them were?
Well, they embellish like the fight scenes. It's basically like Lord of the Rings, right? They make the fight scenes last longer. Like the attack on the crawler it's like one sentence, right? It's like a montage in the books. Hey, we started fighting them for a long time, and then it leads to the final confrontation, and it goes into big detail in the final confrontation, right? So yeah, they added a lot of fight scenes. The entire opening sequence, it's not in the books, where they're fighting the not the Sardaukar, the Harkonnen. I think it sounds much better to say Harkonnen.
Agree 100%.
Which is how they pronounce it in the original movie, Harkonnen. But it's Harkonnen now. It's more imposing.
Yeah.
When they're fighting the Harkonnen troops, and they fly up onto the thing and then shoot them. Like, that was a really fun sequence. It's not in the books at all.
Oh, so good.
So they added a lot of fight scenes, which really, really amplified it. There was one insignificant change that, like, bothered me, and I totally understand, like, yeah, fine, this is a good change, but, like, as a purist, I was like, oh, like I was groaning. It's the mini sandworms where they get the water of life. They're supposed to be fish. They're literally called sand trout.
I like that.
But I get it. Like, it visually, it's just a little worm. This is the baby worm. It turns into a big worm. But technically, it's a little fish that turns into a big worm.
See, and that's what I was going to say, is that, like, for me, I think this movie, like, I love this movie because it's very visually stunning. I think the music was fantastic.
It looks like that's the consensus, yeah.
I love the music.
No,
you know what?
I
I heard the music from the first movie, and I was just sad because I'm so used to listening to, like, the Paul Atreides suite, and I'm like, this thing slaps. Like, I could just,
the Sting music.
Yeah, and then you get
It was
to
a
the
killer
movie,
soundtrack.
and it's really not in the movie that much, and I'm like, oh, what's sad.
So yeah, I loved everything about it, and for the most part, I think I followed what they were trying to do with the
You haven't read the books, right?
story. Yeah, and I hadn't read the books.
See,
what I would say
just be smarter, Lady B.
no, but what I would say is that even though I was able to kind of, maybe grasp these concepts, you filling in some of these gaps definitely does help. Like, there are some things where I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But, like, I think they did do a good job at showing
explaining enough
things and explaining it enough that honestly, it's enough to keep the story moving. It's enough to keep you thinking, okay, like, how is this going to progress? Like,
it's like Lord of the Rings for me. Like, I read the books after I saw the movies, and it filled in. It was filling in gaps that I didn't know were there, but the movie worked fine on its own.
Yeah, I think it worked. I think it was an amazing movie. Like, I mean, there was fun. I mean, they even had little fun, comic reliefs. Like, I think it was great to have the leader guy,
Stilgar.
Stilgar,
that's a change. Yeah, they kind of dumbed him down a little bit, but I was fine with it.
But it was fun. It was great. Like, his character, I loved his character because literally every time you're like, sweet, he's just, he expects big, and then they're surpassed, and he's like, oh shoot, like,
the one thing it sacrificed, though, that specifically did sacrifice a good moment from the books where he's not initially on board. Like, they literally reversed Chani and Stilgar's character. Okay, he's the one that's pushing back, and you got that in part one. In part one, he's like, I don't give a crap about these Atreides boys, right? Yeah. They offer, hey, no, we're going to do things differently from the Harkonnens. Lady B, we still think you're awesome, right?
Oh, thank you. I don't want never any doubt. I mean, everyone gets salty. I've been, like, really salty about stuff.
Thank you for the $1.99, Mark. Fantastic.
But yes, thank you, Mark. We love you, Mark. No hard feelings.
There's a wonderful moment from the books where Stilgar flips, right? And starts worshiping Paul. Because he's not on board, and then he sees more and more stuff, and then something clicks inside him. It might not even be until book 2. I'm not sure. I might need to reread it. But Paul has this line in internal monologue where he says, I knew at that moment I had lost a friend and gained a follower, like a believer. And it's like heartbreaking for Paul. It's like, I lost my friend that day because he believes in me too much. Like, ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Baby.
That is good. But here's the thing. I loved his character because, like, you do see his progression in his belief, right? Like he goes and they're all like outside the Reverend Mother, and they're having her drink, and then what is it? He's like, oh shoot!
He's like making excuses, but this fulfills prophecy anyway.
Yeah, right?
He denied it, which is exactly that's exactly what a racist would say, right?
Yeah. So it was fun to see him do that, where it's like okay, like this might have disproved that he isn't it, but the way that he's thinking, he's like, oh no, this just proves it even more.
Same thing with the sandworm too. He's like, oh, he's gonna ride the sandworm, he's gonna prove how awesome he is. Oh no, not that big. He can't handle that. And then he does it, and he's like, yeah.
Salty Traveling Sea, thanks for jumping on. You just saw a part 2, better than the first, but very, very rushed. Interesting. I think most people thought part 1 was better.
Yeah,
from what I've heard,
they're both good, but
I don't know.
I like this one better.
I feel like they're both the same thing. Like I don't know if I can separate them in my mind.
I feel this one was more balanced.
Don't get salty talking about Shogun. You're going to be here all night.
Salty, will you come on next? Have you seen Shogun? Because none of these people did their homework. So come on next week and talk about Shogun with me.
I watched one.
I had too much other stuff.
I did my homework. We went and saw Dune 2 this afternoon. I was not told there would be Shogun. I'm still catching up on that.
You watched? Okay, Jared watched it then. Fine.
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I was like, you brought this up. I know we're gonna be talking about Shogun.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to talk to Salty about Shogun next week. So.
Can we talk about one of my favorite visuals in this show, though? In the very end, when they're fighting the Emperor, and he's got that big, huge glass prism spaceship that's like
on fire.
Hot. It's on fire.
That was pretty cool.
Looks so
I
sweet.
think okay, so the first
when it comes over the city though, and I was like, oh, it's reflective. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The first movie had a lot of the really cool kind of like Denis Villeneuve visuals we're used to with the color and stuff like that, and I can appreciate that. But man, we got in the second movie and there was so much dark, so much super Twilight shot stuff in the dark, and then by the time you got the end, you got some genuinely cool visuals, like the last fight with Paul and the Harkonnen guy. It's right up the frame. The composition was really cool with the kind of plus sign thing, and that's the background of the desert, and then they're fighting in relief on it, and they just managed to stay right in at the point, so it creates kind of that 9-block visuals thing that you do when you set up shots for composition. Yeah. I thought that was really cool, but man, I hate the darkness because I'm just okay.
I don't know. I feel like part 2 was more visually stunning than the first part. There was more variety.
Yeah, I agree. They did a lot of darkness, but what I did like about the darkness is you got a different side, you got a different visual, right? Because you got more the reds, coming through on the twilight or whatever. I don't know. It helps break up the monotony of just the.
There's some comments that are getting too old, so I need to get through these. What do we rate them out of 10? I'd say the first one was a 9 until I watched part 2, and I'm okay with moving it up to a 10 because I was worried. And I think the part 2 is in the same boat. It's a 9 unless, if they screw up the next part 2 goes lower, and if they don't screw up the next part, it goes to a 10. I loved these movies despite the changes. David will see Shogun in 11 months. This is important. And I was okay with it. Aaliyah is not in the movie. She's not. She's in the movie.
Yeah, she's in the movie in a weird way. That was kind of weird.
She never gets born. Okay, she's in the womb the whole time, and Paul talks to her in a vision quest.
Yeah,
and talks to an adult version of her, which is what's her everyone loves her. I'm blanking on the name. Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, she's weird. She has fish eyes.
I think she's the if you know what's coming, she is perfectly cast as Elia.
I was going to say the fish eyes is a plus in this role.
Yes, she's perfectly
Yeah,
cast.
she's a
Like
strange
it's
looking one.
like Doom Messiah is going to be very interesting, and I know that Denis Villeneuve has no intention of adapting Children of Dune, but she would be so good in her role in Children of Dune. What that character does in Children of Dune. Please keep going, Denny. Okay, or give it to someone else who's just as good. But please adapt Children of Dune. And then please, someone do a bunch of drugs and adapt God Emperor of Dune. I know it's impossible, but please keep going.
Oh boy.
Shogun rocks. Yeah, dude, come on the show, man. I want to talk Shogun.
I was planning on watching it next week too, so.
I keep comparing it to the old miniseries, which I need to watch. I need to go and watch the miniseries now. The effects in Shogun, yeah, we'll get there, baby. Okay, this is all Shogun. God Emperor needs to be the next movie. No, you can't. At first, the first Dune is a 7.5. Okay, all right. Now you guys are going to move on to something else. You had another point.
I think we were giving you your ratings. You're the only one that went.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what are your ratings?
David, let's go clockwise. What do you
I think it's pretty similar. I think the first one was a 9. This one's maybe an 8 for me.
Okay.
I enjoyed them both quite a lot.
They give Elia's. Sorry. Okay.
I'd give them both 10 out of 10s. I think like
Okay, it
right
bothers
now,
me a little bit.
start-
It bothers me a little bit. The book changed that Aaliyah's not in the movie, but it makes sense. Like it's really hard to do that and not make it look goofy as heck like the original movie does. Okay, it's really hard to do, and I understand why she's not in the movie, and I'm totally okay with her being in the next movie.
How is it supposed to be?
She's a demon baby. She kills the Duke. Baron. She kills Baron Harkonnen.
That was another scene I thought was a little bit weird.
She gets born. It's basically like the Twilight thing, where like she like grows really fast with Edward and Renez with a baby that grows real fast.
Oh, you're totally spoilering Twilight for me. Oh my gosh.
She's
a
real.
Haven't watched it already. Then,
she grows into a fast baby because she was pregnant because Jessica was pregnant when she took the water of life.
Yeah, she took
The
some
baby
drugs, dude. How is that not
also
that
took the
kid?
water of life and basically became fully sentient in the womb. Not just fully sentient. She
That's
became
cool. That's just
she
a plot
became
point.
she became a Bene Gesserit in the womb. Like
That's cool.
she has the memory of thousands of people from before she was even born. Yeah. And so she grows up real fast and she has witch powers and she kills the Baron. She kills Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah.
Make it a lot less weird than
but it's like a 5-year-old who has to do acting and make it really good and completely butcher a big old fat man. That's really hard to pull off.
That is rough.
Yeah.
I did say that that scene where Paul just comes in and they just let him walk in and stab the Baron and then leave. I thought that was a little bit weird.
I loved the shot of him reaching for the throne.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it showed just how intimidating he was. That literally, or really that they were more focused on protecting the Emperor than they were about this guy that's on the.
But she can't see into the future because she's.
So that's the thing. That's why I really love these movies is because they've got so many of the elements that you know what I was in fact in my high school I had a girlfriend at the time and they called us Edward and Belle or whatever because that's just how we were. But anyway.
Oh.
High school. Was this the girlfriend we all hated and never told you
about?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyway.
So they were calling you Edward and Bella unironically.
Yeah. But yeah, so but that's why I love these movies though, because these movies
Go to sleep.
They may have some
crazy girls.
They may not be getting all of the points of the books, but if you go in there and someone like me who's never read these books, like it still does everything that you want out of a good movie, right? Like they're visually stunning. The characters develop in a way that makes sense.
So give us a number. Give us something substantive. What's the number, Jared? What's in the box?
Jared already gave the numbers. We keep cutting off Alex and Lady B. They still haven't given their numbers.
What's your number? I didn't hear.
Jared's up. Jared, what was your number?
So
He
yeah,
said
10
both
out of 10
ends.
for sure on both of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, Mark. My wife is out of town.
So
She's not going to sleep.
Was she a demon baby
you talk
trying to
about
take
demon
over?
5-year-olds one time, and all of a sudden,
So anyway, yeah, I'd give it 10 out of 10. I think that it does everything that you want out of a good movie. It was visually stunning, good storytelling. I mean, it leaves some to the next movie, so there's some that they can still fill in. There's some that they can answer some of the questions. It tells you just enough to keep you interested, but it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't do a lot of those things that we've seen in a lot of these other movies. I mean, the CGI looks great, so it all works, right? And
Dune Messiah.
there haven't been a lot of conflicts story-wise, and there haven't been a lot of things where you literally are watching and you're like, wait, why did he do that? Or wait, how did this happen if this was shown earlier? So
Is that for the babysat or the babysitter? Or both.
Just rub a little on the gums. Isn't that what they used to do?
Yeah, for teething or whatever.
what is the?
Oh, that's true. I had heard that.
I don't remember what the name of it is, but it was a brandy and Pepto Bismol, brandy and Benadryl. Brandy and Benadryl was the
Like
name
a
of the
combo
cocktail
drug.
you give to kids to
Wow.
make them go to sleep.
Yeah, goodness.
Anyway, that would be my review.
Sorry,
but-
I didn't hear your number. What was your number?
Oh my gosh.
He's
Sorry, I was a little distracted.
I've said it like 5 times. It's definitely a 10 out of 10.
Both of them?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think both of them.
Reminisce.
El Bellio has the comment of the night with that one.
Reminisce.
Tenth wave reminisce.
That's a really good one, man.
That's good.
Ladies first.
All right.
I'd say like on the production value that it looked like things looked really great and stuff. So I'd say on a production value is probably like a 9 out of 10. On a story thing, I'd say like for me like 6.5.
Ooh,
Like
that low,
I was just like, okay. Just didn't do it for me. That's okay. I'm looking
Okay,
forward
but
to
did
reading
you
the
watch Avatar?
book. Which Avatar?
It's way better. Okay.
Maybe that's why mine was so high, because I'm like,
Love it.
it's such a relief to have a good movie. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, did you steal the joke from FNT, Albelio?
No.
I don't. I haven't been able to catch them in a long time because I've been so busy. But
Damn it. Yeah. These are both 7s now.
Yeah.
6.5s for me.
okay.
And I'm going to give the reason is that's as high as I can go for a movie in which I don't like the main characters. I'm not interested in
Sure,
the main characters.
sure.
I'm turned off by the main characters. And that really, because of that, it didn't pull me in. And if you had replaced Zendaya with, fucking any handful of actresses, or replace Timothy Chalamet. If you had replaced Timothy Chalamet with Dylan O'Brien, this goes up 2.5 points for me.
I don't know who you're talking about. Let me look it up.
Me neither.
Keep going.
Oh, you know what's funny? Okay, here you guys. Who do you think's better, like
Okay.
Aes Sedai or Bene Gesserits, or like Aiel or like Freeman?
Well, here's the thing. They're not. Frank Herbert is kind of cynical. Like these are not supposed to be like role models, right? The Fremen are literally a criticism of Islam.
Yes.
He doesn't like them. And the Bene Gesserit are a complete failure. They're eugenicists who who tripped on the 9th yard, right? Or the 9-yard line.
Fell on the goal line.
And they fumbled it on the goal line, and Paul Atreides, twink boy, picked it up and ran it back into the other end zone.
Sort of it just was very similar, and I was just thinking, okay, like none of the Aes Sedai had the same thing, because it kind of like, instead of breeding something in, they went the opposite way and bred it out.
Yeah. In many ways,
it was fun just to see all the similarities between like.
Oh yeah,
Robert and like
Jordan,
a whole bunch of other different things, not just Robert Jordan. But
he absolutely took inspiration from him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason that the Aiel are white.
I think the Aiel are way more interesting than the Fremen.
Me too, honestly.
They're more fun, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but that's just in general. Like those books are more fun. Like Dune is kind of a depressing allegory thing, you know.
The funniest thing about Dune is the company that published Dune at the time published exclusively car manuals. And he shopped this to everybody. And nobody wanted to print it. Except for this car manual place that thought, wow, this weird book about worms is kind of neat. Sure, what the fuck? Send it.
Yeah.
Yes, Tolkien hated Dune, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
What's funny,
what he said about it. It was like, wow, that's a huge diss.
What's funny is that it made tons of money, and then they're like, "Can you keep going?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to." And so they paid him a bunch of money. It's like, okay, fine, I'll write Dune Messiah. And then like, "Can you keep going?" And he said, "No, I don't want to." So they paid him a bunch of money, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to write it, but it's not going to be about the main character. It's going to be about his kids." And then for book 4, he's like, fine. They gave him millions of dollars to keep writing, and he was like, okay, it's going to be thousands of years in the future, and the dude is a worm.
Yes. It's just like,
it's a worm boy.
I've become the same
And
worm.
the entire book is going to be internal monologues of him thinking about philosophical topics and the ethics of fascism for the greater good. Like, is it okay to use fascism if I'm genuinely trying to help people?
They were like, yeah, dude, we make car manual.
Not exactly one of my things of that. This is probably going to be from the books, and I know this is like there's a lot of thoughts on this topic, but
I have not read the Pandora books. Sorry, what?
The last comment from
yeah.
Dude, Worm Boy's fantastic. I love God Emperor of Dune so much. It is such an interesting book.
Worm Boy, yeah, definitely better than that. But yeah, it is. The problem with this book too is I don't know what the author's original intentions were completely, but unfortunately, a lot of themes in the book just read off as a lot of
it's pessimistic.
It's current event topical things. There is a big kind of a theme of this is okay, there's a colonizer people stealing the spice, which obviously seems like oil, and then there's environmentalism. So I don't know if the author kind of intended that, but unfortunately it's something that's become really I'm this is very on the nose.
It feels like, well, maybe he's just.
But I knew that
maybe
coming
it's just
in.
Prophetic, It feels like modern day politics.
Yeah, I felt I knew that this was a thing about the book, so I wasn't going to hold it against the story. So I didn't. But it was something I was just like, ugh.
I can't remember if I read this, but apparently Albelio didn't steal the joke. It was just a case of parallel thinking. The Fremenism, okay.
Well,
That's just funny. I don't care. Like, I don't care if he stole it from someone. It's good.
He didn't, apparently. I believe you.
What is the
Yeah.
sometimes certain themes are eternal, like, always be worried about the guy with good PR that people claim is a hero, and Muslims are insane. Like, you just gotta, it just keeps cropping back up in novels from every decade.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot you can learn now from Dune. I think it's bad, right? don't listen to propaganda.
Mm. Oh,
Maybe question your own beliefs and make sure that they're not founded on lies, right?
don't let women have control of your church.
Don't let women have control. Eugenics are not good.
Woman thing on, Brainstorm.
Eugenics can be good. You just gotta use them for good.
Maybe just don't start a breeding program with crazy women.
Yes.
Don't stick your dick in crazy.
Excellent.
Which is, or don't let crazy stick its dick in you.
Or don't put
in regard to Fade Ralpha, right? Securing
in
his
that
seat?
Weird box. I mean, come on.
That's not all you put in a box.
Put your hand in this box. Yeah. Don't let me ride your sandworm, buddy. But yeah, I don't know.
It depends on where you stick it.
One of the things that always cracks me up about these
this took a weird turn. Yeah, I agree.
Is every author before 1990 seems to have gone to a Catholic school and seems to have come up with a group of elderly, manipulative women who are mean and cruel and ruin the world.
They just did not have a good time.
Yeah, Catholic school messed people up big time. Like
someone got their knuckles whacked with a big old ruler and is salty about it.
Exactly.
That's funny. They don't like the Jesuits, do they?
But I love the books.
I'm looking forward to reading the books. I really am.
If you read them, you can stop at 2.
So I've heard.
There's a natural ending point there. There's like cliffhangers, right? Like where you're like you will want to keep reading, but like 2 is a good place to end if you're tired, if you're not enjoying it. But yeah, if you go on, you got to go to 4.
And you're skipping the most common stopping point, which is 10 chapters into chapter 2, or into book 2, where you're like, what the fuck is happening here? That was my one.
It was your second. It was your third, technically, because you stuttered on your first one, and so you said it twice.
Crap.
It's okay. Some PG-13 movies have more than one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm really interested about, because I was reading in the I learned so much lore about this just from the Wikipedia entry, which made reading for seeing the second movie a lot better. But but it was interesting because you were saying that it was sort of like a counterpoint to Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which is interesting because I found that at a thrift shop and I bought it all. So I was okay, I'm gonna read all of these.
I love Foundation.
But I have not. It's still in California, so I'm gonna have to ship that back to me. And they're great, 60s covers. So I'm looking forward to
Foundation is weird,
so I've heard.
but structurally fascinating, really, really cool. Very different, but obviously, you shouldn't have to read the books to enjoy the movies, but read the books. They're good. I plan on reading. The problem is, there's a good natural arc with the first 4 books, and then when he kept going, 5 and 6 were setting up a lot of stuff that he didn't get to finish because he died, and then his son wrote 7 and 8 to finish off the series. But before he did that, he spent 20 years writing a bunch of prequels and parallel series or books that go in between his dad's books, and then to finish off the story, he used a bunch of his made-up characters, and so people didn't like that. But Worm Boy was a bridge too far. Yeah.
Kind of like the idea of Worm Boy. Does it have it? I mean, is it like a sandworm or like is it like a creepy like a grub?
Do
If
you want-
it's
do
you want
sandworms,
spoilers?
it's kinda
It's
cute.
Leto the Second. I gotta find.
Yeah,
a
I've
fan
heard
art
of
for
this.
it.
Like I
Okay, you want me to spoil it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Plug your ears if you don't want spoilers. So, Paul's son, Leto the Second, kind of,
Cute picture.
kind of has a similar experience
Oh,
to.
fucking dildo.
Yeah, kind of has a
You
similar
got it for a
experience.
Dune cover. Good.
Kind of has a similar experience to what Aaliyah has, where he they're like fully sentient upon birth, right? It's a little different how it works out, but he becomes basically what his father didn't want to do because he didn't want to do it. He becomes a god by gathering up all of the sand trout and having them leach off of his body. It's like metamorphosis, right?
Yeah, it's like
he turns into a cocoon.
That isn't a spoiler because I've read about it before, so I knew that this was like there was something there. But
He
I was
gathers
just curious
up
what he looked like.
all of the sand trout to deprive the universe of spice. So the worms stop. There are no more worms. They eventually all die because he's gathered. Yeah, so it's not a parasitic relationship. It's a symbiotic relationship. Like they replace his blood with spice, and like change his body. So it happens slowly.
Like those weird, crazy crackheads I used to see in California.
He eventually just becomes just
yes, healthy.
like a whale, right? Like.
Okay, I'm glad that's how it happened, and there wasn't any weird breeding programs.
But it lets him.
Better.
But it turns him into a god. He can see further than anyone, and he's trying to create the golden path, which is the only way to ensure that humanity survives an upcoming war, which he never got to because he died. Because book 4 ends with the death of he sacrifices himself to set the world onto the golden path, and you never quite figure out what the golden path was. But there are some theories, which there are some that I really like, and it has to do with the hunter seekers. But it's a different. That's speculation.
So when are we getting the TechMax Dune lore videos?
Well, I did a couple of them with. Where I talked about the first 4 books with, I don't think he's part of the White Cloaks anymore. What's his, Jane Reed Dune Farstrider. He's got another YouTube channel, but he doesn't. He's not active on the White Cloaks Discord anymore. But I did a bunch of videos with him, or just I guess it was just 2.
Oh, really?
Is that the Questioners?
No, Jane is like I don't know what.
Yeah,
happened.
He's not active on the subreddit.
Yeah, he
or
kind
on
of
the
like
Discord
went
anymore.
off Discord. He used to play I think D&D with us for a while.
Oh,
yeah. I don't
I
know.
Cool guy.
apologize.
I'll look. I can't remember what his channel's called. He's got a couple of videos criticizing Vox Machina. I'll look it up. I'll find it eventually.
Salty, to answer your question, Austin Butler as Vedrutha.
I like that guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Big fan. Feel like he pulled it off very well.
You're making me read this. Thank you so much for the 199 mark. I'll take a golden path over a golden shower. So there you go. I hope you're happy. Let me pull up my videos. Yeah, super fun. And yeah, I'll eventually read 5 and 6, fully knowing that they don't get paid off. But and I'll commit to reading the 2 books by his son, which I know a lot of people don't like. And I'm not reading any of his prequels, so I'll just be lost. I won't know who those characters are. Shaquille Acquisitioner is his YouTube channel.
Crap.
What? There's just a ton of.
Why are there so many Dune books?
Yeah, no, his kid wrote like 50 of them.
Was he like broke and needed drug money? Like,
Oh, he might have deleted his YouTube channel. I don't see it anymore.
4, 5,
Oh no.
6.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay with the canon of like Frank Herbert ones.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
If it's not even like the finished story, like Brandon Sanderson finished
they each book finishes a story, but you can also tell that it was setting up for to reveal what the Golden Path was. And the theory, I can tell you about the theory. The theory that Jane has, which I 100% agree with, is that because part of Leto II's big plan was he kind of adopts the Bene Gesserit's eugenics but in a good way. He's trying to create like a perfect human, which will survive the upcoming wars. And the theory was that it's because artificial intelligence will come back into play and merge with the hunter-seeker technology that can automatically seek out and destroy anyone who's human. And the Golden Path was, through eugenics, creating a breed of humans that cannot be detected by hunter-seekers because of spice infusion. That's the theory. Who knows?
Yeah, I made a mistake of clicking on the Dune wiki. This
Yeah,
got wild.
It's nuts, yeah. So, and then even in there, you have to decide which ones are canon, how much of the prequels you're gonna look, So
Yeah,
the wikis
classifies
aren't
legit.
exactly reliable either.
Yeah, I know. It was bad.
I know. No one says anything bad about the 5 and 6. It's just that it's not going to quite pay off everything that's getting set up.
Okay, I just clicked on the most recent one that came out in 2002, and the wiki is 2 sentences, which is not a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You just read his son's
Crazy
books when
stuff.
they're on sale. I have heard that people like the house books. Like he has
Yes.
a book dedicated. People genuinely like those, but you can still tell this is not the same author.
Yeah, speaking of good sale
Golden-
books,
the Golden Corral as an alternative.
Yeah, okay, y'all should read this because
I want to read that. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it for book club, probably sometime this month. So
I've got a lot of other ones. I'm the third of the way through the 3 body problem.
oh yeah,
is that good or is it Chinese propaganda?
No, it's really good.
Is it? Okay.
It's pretty staunchly anti-communist.
that's
Oh,
good.
sweet.
Refreshing.
Thank God.
the book. Okay, the book opens up with the main character's father going through a struggle session
Sweet.
and being executed by communists. And so it's
That's
pretty.
right.
It is
That's-
pretty critical of China.
That's the one the Chinese hate, not the one the Chinese push.
Yeah, it's not the Quan or whatever her name is, but
Did you ever put out a video on the Hugo Awards, by the way?
Daniel Green one, or no, I didn't do a specific video on that one. That was the Scholastic stuff. Yeah, the racist Hugo Awards.
Or the fact that they gave power over the Hugo Awards to the Chi-Coms was.
And then they didn't even choose their own book because it was critical of of China.
Well, they just declared half the nominations were ineligible because they didn't.
Because they didn't have DEI. Speaking of communists, can we never do a video on Daniel Green again?
I agree.
Every time I do a Daniel Green video, Mark Clark, his feed gets ruined. I don't plan on ever talking about him unless he says something retarded on Twitter again, and then I gotta call it out. So
it's Sunday, so can I put us down for Wednesday then?
sure, yeah.
Alright.
Expect a video on Wednesday. Well, I don't even follow him on Twitter, so I only get it if it just pops up randomly in my feed.
Neither do I, which is the worst part. Actually, I don't follow him, but like I get messages from people like, "Look what Daniel Green said," and I'm like, "I'm sure it's dumb, but like,
Yeah. I
it's
don't.
ba- I fall for the bait every time though."
I
You
don't
made me
want to
watch
do
Twitter
like.
XP videos.
I don't want to do like drama videos either, but like
Yeah,
I
me
make it
neither.
very clear. Like, look, I don't attack the person, but like his ideas are retarded, and I gotta call it out. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna stoop low as to just make fun of him for being dumb, but when he says something that I fundamentally disagree with, I'm gonna make a video about it. But I'll try not to. It's up to him if I make another one or not. Okay.
All right, fair enough.
Anyway, I liked the Dune movies. I really enjoyed them.
I'm glad you like them. That's good.
I'm worried about part 3, but we'll see.
That's just natural. There's nothing that comes out. Will any of us, I feel like, ever be not worried about ever again? Like it could be 2040. Hollywood has had a decade of nothing but bangers, and I would still go into that theater like, oh no, this is gonna be trash. It's tough. I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's I agree, and that's what I try and do, but it's hard to do that without people saying you're attacking the creator. So, which I got tons of comments on for the video.
Yeah, it's just a problem with modern people where it's like they can't. It's like
criticism.
it's like the idea. It's like identity politics is created in a world where you're so like your identity and what you identify with in terms of what you consume and like what you believe in is like becomes an extension of yourself.
Who you are,
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you start criticizing like an idea or a property or something, then people think that that's a personal attack against me, and it's like,
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it completely goes over people's head that you can disagree with someone and not want them dead. Right?
yeah,
Like,
Or even disagree with somebody and not
And
think
still
they're
like
an
them.
idiot.
yeah.
yeah, I
Like-
still like Mark. He can think I'm dumb for like not getting dude. Like that's fine. It's fine. He's respectful about it. I'm like, cool.
Be smarter,
fine with
Lady
that.
B.
Yeah, I feel like I've been going through some stuff, and honestly, it's just like when you just do a lot of stress, it like really feels like your brain isn't working at 100%. So like, yeah, that's probably a little bit fair.
But
you
I mean,
can
you are
still call me dumb. So that's
there.
fine.
There have been enough people, saying the same thing. Like, I agree. It should explain more.
Yeah.
In at some parts, yeah.
I also know that it's like a hard thing. Like I went into it. Okay, it's a hard thing to adapt. There's a lot of material to cover, and so I wasn't like hugely like.
The books are also hard to understand too. Just reading the
Yeah,
books,
first that
they're
too.
pretty dense.
Yeah,
So
I'm looking forward to reading it. It'll probably be next after I do book club for Warrior Valentine. So.
Can't wait. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I might even do book club for that if enough people want to read it with me.
for what?
Dune. If somebody was, I
Dune?
did
Yeah.
book club for Silmarillion, and that was
I know.
wild.
I read it. I read it, by the way. I finished the Silmarillion.
Oh,
because of
did you enjoy it?
I did. I enjoyed parts of it more than others.
Yeah, there's some downers at the end stuff. Like when
No,
you get
I
Turin
kinda like
Turin
those.
like oh.
I liked Hurin and Turin. So is that what the Children of Hurin is about? It's just in more detail, just more depressing.
Yeah, it's like it's rough, and yeah, it's funny when you read something like that and you're like, okay, this author is talking about something that he witnessed personally or something, and it's like there's times when I was reading Lord of the Rings where I'm like, this is some like Tolkien saw some things like when he was at war, and I feel like there's definitely moments here with like that in that book. And
Yeah,
that
well,
was
there was like
hard.
the one part where I can't remember the character who like accidentally like kills his dad or son or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is Rosie asleep? She looks like she's lying down. It's fine. It's fine. She crawled into your bed?
Oh,
I love Tech-Max Dad.
I know. We need a dad stream.
It's okay. She can stay
I was
on
gonna
this
say.
It's okay.
When is
Oh,
Tech-Max
you
jumping
rolled
on
off the bed?
and hit her head on my
On what?
Come here. Okay.
A couple of
Just
folks that
stay
are
with me.
kind of in our circles do what they call dad streams, where
Dad
it's you know, they
Just
just
dads
talk
telling
about
people how to be dads.
talk about being dads.
This is wholesome. It's so wholesome.
It's like I know Zax does it, Roman of the Empire does it, Pips and Prophet do it. It's wholesome. Love them. They're some of my favorite streams.
Get out of here. Okay.
Well, it is getting late, and I know this
Yeah.
this little white cloak needs to go to bed because he has a flight tomorrow. So.
But yeah, I liked the Silmarillion. Do you
that's
recommend
good, yeah.
Do you recommend reading Children of Hurin or not?
I haven't read that actually
Okay.
because I was just like I got to the turn bar, and I think that's that's part of it. And just I'm like, okay, this really, really messed me up, and I've been like dealing with some family stuff, and I'm just like, I don't want to read or like just.
Well,
like,
okay,
stuff
so
like
I
that.
missed the conversation. I brought it up and then missed the conversation about it because kids. But what was I referencing? The guy who like killed.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. It's the guy that was like the archer, and
Yeah.
he went to go rescue the elf dude. That, or
Yeah.
whoever it was. I think it was it was Turn
And then
Bar. I think
and
that
then he
had
gets
been.
killed.
He was taken by the orcs. The orcs tortured him.
Yeah.
And so he totally was like PTSDing when the elf guy like rescued him.
Came to
And he was
rescue
like
him.
he was an archer, and
he
he
thought it was
freaked
an enemy.
out, and he thought he was an enemy, and he killed the guy. Yeah, that was
That
really
was
sad.
brutal.
That was one of the things that made me think, okay, this feels like something he might have like witnessed when he was in World War One.
Yeah. Yeah, worth reading. It's not something I'd recommend to everyone.
It's dense. Like it is. So
It
dense.
feels like reading the Old Testament,
Yeah.
which
really.
there's some cool stories in there, but it's rough.
Oh, you know what you should read? That's totally fun, especially since you have kids. Is Tolkien's Father Christmas Letters?
Oh yeah, I've heard about those.
Yeah,
Where-
yeah.
like,
I
where
did
are
a
they
stream for
published?
that.
Like-
you can buy it as a book. The illustrations are great. It's
Okay.
cute. Yeah, it's really
Cool.
fun.
Yeah, well,
Sounds like fun.
I want to do more book club stuff. Alex,
You want to do
more, but
What
more
do you-
specifically,
what
it's Steven. When are you going to have some free time to talk about Elric of Melniboné? Look, I literally created
I want to read
like
that too.
I literally created like an intro and an outro for our book club streams. Do you want to hear the song? It's good.
Unless it's Veteran of the Psychic Wars, you chose wrong.
No, I wrote it.
Oh.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You can't write Elric of Melniboné's songs.
No, it's for a book, just book club in general.
Okay.
That's cool. I would
Let's
love
hear
to
it.
do the club.
Let's pull it up. Look, I want to do more book club streams. What? Okay, here, and then you can go to bed. Here is my talk about it. Where is it? Can you hear this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, you're gonna read a book. And then we're gonna talk about it. Have you ever read a book and you wanna go and look to see if anybody else has the same thoughts about it? Well, baby, you're in luck, cause we're gonna hit it up if nobody else is gonna talk about it.
There you go.
The children can't hear.
So go get
I have
that
headphones.
book.
Put the headphones on her.
Hurry up! We're gonna talk about it. You
Nice.
know, baby. We're gonna talk about it.
That slaps.
Right? I'm so
Yeah, it's
excited.
really cool.
So I want to do this with Elric. I want to. I think Nerporeal Lifeform said he wants to start doing the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Is that right?
Oh, Leo,
God.
yes, I was. Yeah, I want to read that too. I'd love to
Okay.
read any of those books. So if you guys want to talk about it, like,
Well,
let me
that's what
know.
happened last time, and I read Elric real fast, and it's been like 3 months, and we haven't talked about it yet.
All right. Okay.
But
I'll be honest.
let's do book club, okay?
Let's do book club. Let's see if we can see if we can put some pressure on Steve to get this going now that he's done with Avatar.
Okay, yeah, okay. You go to bed and watch Shogun, because it's so good.
Yeah.
Shogun is
Yeah, that's
definitely on
next
the list
week.
for this week.
Yeah, I gotta watch it for Zax and stuff. I told him I would do it, but
Hopefully, I can get Salty to come on and talk about it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
That'll be a blast. I'll definitely tune in for that.
He keeps dodging me.
He's a
Well,
busy
I'll definitely watch Shogun. I'm not going to be here next week, but
Okay.
I'll give my thoughts the week after.
Okay, go to bed.
Okay, good night,
for sure, boys.
everyone. Thanks for having us.
It's a
Bye.
pleasure as always.
Check out the White Cloaks channel and Lady
Bye.
V's Cimmerillion talks, which I got to go watch retroactively now that I've read the book.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shogun, watch it. It's fun. That's it.
Sounds good.
Right, Jared? You liked it?
It was good. The only complaint I think I have is that there's a lot of stuff that has to do with like Japanese culture
Yeah.
that you just don't know, and so it like mentions.
But that's what's so
stuff and you're like,
fascinating. You're like, oh, what? Ooh.
yeah, so there's a lot of that. You're like, wait, like what
Though-
does this mean?
More so than that, for me, it's I can't keep track of everybody's names. And that's the same problem with Three Body Problem right now. I am on the Wikipedia the whole time, just trying to remember who's who, because the Shaolin, Meilin, Weeping Pong. It's not racism, okay? It might be a little bit, but I don't know who's who. And some of them look very similar, and I'm pretty sure that there's two different characters in Shogun that I thought was the same person at first, and I'm gonna have to rewatch which I'm fine with, because man, it's good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been good.
I mean the pot
Oh,
in
that was
episode 1. There's a pot
my god.
that gets used.
You want me to leave so we can talk about it?
There's stuff like that where I'm like, is this really something that like
Yeah.
that they had in their culture? And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is crazy that they did stuff like this, you know?
The ending of episode 1 is just brutal, and you don't even see. And I'm really, really glad that they didn't show it on camera. But, ooh,
Goodness.
oh no.
The ending of episode 1.
What the guy who did a dishonor?
Sabuku.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and it's a yes and David. It's not just seppuku. Just effed up.
Yeah, like that's the thing. There's stuff like that where you're like, I'm trying to understand the culture at the same time of like it's being engaged in the story, and so you're just like, there's stuff like this where you're just like it's very clearly something like they say, okay, this is a very negative consequence of this guy's actions, but at the same time you're like, dang, the fact that people would do that just for what he did. It's like
It was because his foot.
I know, right?
That was it.
That's the thing. And so it's stuff like that where I'm like, these guys are brutal.
Because he stepped into the room.
Yeah.
And for what he said, but yeah. Which is arguably not that bad.
No, right? And so it's stuff like that where I'm like, I can't believe that that's really. I mean, so that's the main question, I guess, is like how historically accurate are some of these things?
It's accurate.
But
the lead actor, the guy, I can't tell you his name because I have the main leader guy.
Yeah.
He straight up said, like, I would love to do this, and I will not participate if you are not faithful. Yeah. Like, to culture. He's like, you can't be hiring Chinese people and saying that they're Japanese. Like, if you're gonna do it, you have to do it right.
Got you.
That's interesting. So yeah, it's been a very interesting story, and they've done
fascinating.
It's been well done for sure. There's definitely some scenes that can be skipped though, but
yeah, just the one so far.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, is there anything else going on besides Shogun for next week and the week after?
I can pull up the schedule, but I think it's just Shogun.
Okay.
Or no. There's like another. Hold on. Man, it's. My jaw was just on the floor the whole time. I was shocked at just the quality of especially coming out of Avatar, the quality of the writing, the amount of stuff that they're able to do without just holding your hand and telling you. The actor for the white guy is so good. I don't think I've seen him in anything before, but he is wonderful. The British guy, the pirate, and every time he says Japans, I love it. I don't know why, but I really, really love how they pronounce Japan. Have we reached the Japans? And it's something about it just tickles my fancy, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so next week you also have on the agenda Imaginary. I don't know what that is. But
I thought that was If when I was writing it down. Because it's about imaginary friends, but it's a horror movie. I don't want to watch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Shogun.
So just Shogun.
So
but then the week after, Invincible starts again.
Invincible and Shogun. And then the week after that is Shogun, Three Body Problem, and Ghostbusters. And more Invincible. Because Invincible is going to be a weekly release.
Yeah.
But I'm probably... something came up, and so we didn't have the Underground come on, but I'm gonna do Three Body Problem on their channel. We can talk about it here, too, but... Oh, the Underground. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Yeah. They. It's very accurate. The book.
Wow.
It's a fictional story. It's historical fiction. The characters are like amalgamations of real people, but culturally, like,
it's accurate.
The content is accurate to culture. The story didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But similar things happened.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, and it's been. I mean, I do love hearing it. Like it's definitely one of those ones.
Why are you making lip smacking noises? Why do you think that's funny? Okay, it's way past your bedtime.
It's way past my bedtime.
I know it's harder to go to sleep when mom's not home, huh? Yeah. You see David? Yeah. Yeah, so watch it. We'll talk about it next week.
Okay, we'll do.
Episode 103, baby.
Nice.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Imaginary. I'll totally watch If, though. I'll take my kids to see that one.
Yeah, it looks at there were some commercials there that looked really good. The League of
Ungentlemanly Warfare.
The
April 19th.
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. That looked friggin' fantastic.
That's the same week as Rebel Moon 2.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be a tough week.
And Fallout episode 2. Fallout premieres the week before that. We gotta talk about Fallout.
Do what?
That's another one that I don't know. It could be good. Could be a complete dumpster fire. We'll have
Did you guys see the trailer for Badlands?
Oh, you mean Borderlands?
Borderlands.
Oh, Borderlands. Oh, that looks so bad. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a dumpster
I can't believe they're making the movie about it. So
the casting is just wrong.
Yeah.
Why is what's her face in it? The old lady for some reason.
I don't know. I thought she's the only one that kind of looks the part, but
the only one who kind of looks the part is Tina.
Kate Winslet.
No, I don't. Kate Winslet is fine, but they like frumped her up. Right? Like they made her not pretty on purpose.
Yeah, but they also didn't show off any of her powers in the trailer. She was just a gun-toting.
Yeah, why?
Oh yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, that was
Oh
terrible.
yeah,
Yes.
that one,
Or
yeah. Weird.
Tannis, I think. Yeah.
And for some reason, Kevin Hart is Roland.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
I don't
no
like
sense.
any
But
of
then
the
they
cast.
have
Jack Black is Claptrap.
That's
The voice,
Claptrap.
it's just wrong.
Yeah.
I like Jack Black, okay, but the voice doesn't work.
I mean, yeah.
It's a fun voice, but it's not Claptrap.
It's not Claptrap. Yeah. Well, I found out the reason why they fired the voice actor
Did they?
for political reasons.
Oh no.
They after Borderlands 3, they've done like one game without him with a new voice actor. So
Is Claptrap in the Tiny Tina Wonderland's World of Warfare or whatever?
I don't care because I refunded that game
Yeah.
because it was incredibly gay.
Yeah.
Like-
the first two Borderlands games are fantastic. Borderlands 2 is the pinnacle of Borderlands.
Yeah.
I own Borderlands 3 and I've never played it, but Borderlands 1 and 2 were great.
I played a little bit of 3 at a friend's house, and I was like, it's fun gameplay, but
It was either Jack Black or Chris Pratt.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. I was like, I can't believe they actually have a trailer for that. But
Yeah, I saw it, and like the visuals, I was like, oh yeah, that's Borderlands, and then you look at the trailer.
Okay, the same week though, another trailer dropped, which is what I watched. It was like, this is the vibe that Borderlands should be. It's like what's it called? Like it's like Boy Kills World, I think.
No.
Go watch the trailer for Boy Kills World.
But you know what? I might have seen that one too.
Yeah, it's called Boy Kills World. Watch the trailer for that, and you're like, this is the vibe that Borderlands should have. It's Bill Skarsgård in a revenge flick, you know. And it's like lighthearted and funny. It's got John H. Benjamin in it as the boy's inner monologue voice. Which he's the guy who does Bob's Burgers in Archer.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, I remember
looks
hearing that, and I was like, "What?"
Hilarious. Okay, I'll talk to you in just a little bit. We're gonna end. Okay, it's I haven't heard of the director though. Moritz Mohor. I don't know. He's a new guy, but it looks. Yeah, watch the trailer and you were like, Borderlands sucks. Anyway, that's it. This girl's going nuts and she needs to get to bed. Stop making noise. All
right.
It's way past your bedtime. So
Good night, fellas.
she needs some attention. See you next week. We're hopefully we'll get some salty traveling. See?
I cleaned up your mess.
Huh?
I cleaned up your mess.
You cleaned up my mess? I think that was your mess that you cleaned up. That wasn't my mess.
Cleaned it up.
Thank you for cleaning. Okay, bye. We'll see you next
Bye.
week. Good night.
And now it is time to say goodbye.
We had a great conversation.
It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end, and the goodest ending I can think of is...
Right now, this moment, this night.
So I guess we just say goodbye.
So, goodbye.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day. But come back next week for more outrageous bloopers.
This is the end.
Well, there's only one thing left to do.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
I'll try to be more entertaining, so please consider joining Patreon and getting